Welcome one, welcome all back to Monkey Bubble Reflash for the EMEA semifinals down in the losers bracket. Right now we have two exciting teams, Fifth Dimension outperforming performing their seed exactly, while Project W outperforming their seed by quite a bit. It's going to be quite a match, and well, my name is Keela Miles, joined of course by Dividing, and I am very excited for this. How about you, Dividing?
I could not be more excited. My first cast here in Open Division, and it could not be one that is more impactful. We are down from a field of over 100 teams to just 4, and by the end of our cast today, Kilo Miles will be down to the final 2 with contenders trial spots on the line. Honestly, could not be a more impactful game. So much stakes for these players who are really trying to take their first steps into the path to pro.
Yeah, and what a couple first steps they have been. Even if they don't make it all the way to trials, they've still got quite a performance under their belt. For example, Project W, as we said, completely outperforming their seed. They're seeded number 8, so they are out of their depth right now because they beat Regen, earning their spot here. Regen, a name that has been in Open Division, Contenders Trials for a while. Now, it's just a name under Project W's belt.
Yeah, absolutely. And Fifth Dimension, we saw them quite a bit ago as we head into Ilios, our first match. We saw them just a minute ago beat Gopnex. Gopnex, I think was the name. A team that I think a lot of people had very high expectations of going in, very much earning themselves a spot here in the losers semifinals. Super excited to see how these teams play against each other, as we are going to be seeing the hero selections in just a moment. Let's see what we got here.
Fifth Dimension sticking with what we saw a lot from them in the previous game. This rush style composition seems to be their favorite, and their defense with it has been very nice, thanks in large part to their tank line.
Yeah, both teams currently showing a Symmetra. I'll be curious to see if they're just going to be using it to teleport themselves out of spawn, or if we're actually going to continue to use it afterwards. Of course, Lighthouse has a lot of walls on the point that Symmetra could use to set up her turrets. I think it's actually a pretty viable option when paired with a long-range hit scan like Ash and McCree. But we will be seeing swaps. Edith's over onto the Echo, while Hydra will opt for the Tracer.
Yeah, Fifth Dimension opting for a lot more ground control right here, and we saw Hydra have a lot of clutch potential in their game against Gobnix on that Tracer as they come back from spawn. We'll see if they're able to get the pick they need as Fifth Dimension being pressured by Project W. Ediz on that Echo, their signature character, raining in destruction from the side of the point. But the peel is nice from Fifth Dimension. The AoE healing from Sobek and MXD is enough to keep them alive through the hail of bullets, and for now, Fifth Dimension gets the point.
Yeah, and this is why you go with these rush comps on Lighthouse. Ediz finally getting himself poke, getting him rewards with a Sticky Bomb kill onto Killa, but I mean, the point got flipped over very quickly for Fifth Dimension because they were able to take presence onto the point, and with the sustain of characters like that Reinhardt, like that D.Va getting healed up by the Moira, that's already 30% getting pushed over to Fifth Dimension as Project W cleaning up the scraps.
The big opener right there for me was for sure Disclosure's Anti-Nade. Hitting the Rhine and the Lucio right there, two of the main components of the team, the core you might say. Without healing, those two just crumbled instantly.
Yeah, and that's the thing about this Fifth Dimension composition, is that it is very sustainable and very powerful when all 6 of the players are on the field. As soon as one of them goes down, it's a lot less strong. Meanwhile, Project W playing a lot more independent heroes like that Echo, like that Winston. They can get in and out as long as their backline stays safe. If one player gets picked off, it's not as big of a deal.
Yeah, and the early percentage lead that Fifth Dimension got affords them the ability to take this long rotation, take the high ground away from Project W, and without that coverage from the Ashe, from Ediz, they're able to get right back onto the point, and Fifth Dimension get the flip. Even though they're starting to lose this fight, the Primal Rage and Bob together displacing Fifth Dimension off. They're still able to get a nice bit of percentage right there and force 2 ultimates out of Project W.
Yeah, once again, Fifth Dimension are getting point progress, but it's pretty much just because they're able to use their rush comp to just run onto the point and sustain while Edis and Arca poke into them. However, as they were going in, they lost MXD, and without that Moira, without the main component of healing, I mean, what are you supposed to do? It was just a matter of time before they went down again.
Yeah, that was a nice grab. Chaos not able to eat that right there. The self-destruct, it's a nice pittance, but it's not enough to save your team when the Primal Blade is out. Sar with the double kill and sending them fleeing off the edge, away from that raging monkey. Project W right now poised. Hold on right here. Fifth Dimension, they have one more fight.
Yeah, but it was a very expensive fight for Project W. 4 ultimates committed into that grab. I'd say a little bit of an overcommitment, especially after Edis got the double sticky bomb kill. Fifth Dimension's going to be coming back in. They also use several ultimates. It's going to be down to Julo, who's going to be looking for a big shatter here, as well as Hydro will have his pulse bomb.
Seen Hydro do work with that before, as now Edis is getting the duplicate right up the top. That's a durable partner for Sar to get the dive up there. The triple tank out from Project W thanks to the duplicate, and you're able to send that self-destruct in there as soon as you please. From the side, splitting up the team, the tanks cut off from the supports, an opportunity for Sar to finish them as they get closer and closer. The flip, though, from Fifth Dimension at the last moment. Now they'll be building percent. They just need to get one pick, and they have an opportunity to hold on here. The shatter is good on to Daemon, but not quite enough. They're trading tank for tank, and in these close situations, that's not what you want to be doing. Fifth Dimension, though, still holding on, still in the back line, as Julo goes over to the Hammond to try and get back to the point in time. Will the Wrecking Ball get there, though, as the Pulse Bomb goes wide? Hydro isn't able to connect in time. You need that clip potential now. You need a boot from Sobek. You need something, some sort of big high noon from Keela. Otherwise, this Nano Monkey could be the end of you. Now on the point, approaching 99%. Chaos is able to find that one pick. Is it enough, though? Is Keela's high noon enough? Sar falls to it, and just when it looked like Project W was getting back into the game, Fifth Dimension turns it around and gets the first point on Ilios.
Yeah, what a beautiful stall from Fifth Dimension. I thought as soon as Jula went down, it was just about over. But the Tracer, the Diva on Fifth Dimension were able to just keep on tiptoeing on and off of the point. Once again, using the powerful point presence of their comp to force Project W to act. Project W did a very good job the first couple of times they were forced to do so, but this time, the ults coming up from Fifth Dimension were just a little bit too much. Now Project W seems to want to play a little bit of Wrecking Ball here. Sar showing a little bit of that boot potential, as well as Julo.
Yeah, I'm liking what I'm seeing dividing. Switching through every main tank in the game right there, but Fifth Dimension eventually settling back on their rush composition. Project W, though, sticking with their divey style. A glass cannon composition with the Mercy Zenyatta. A lot of damage right there, but a lot of vulnerability if Fifth Dimension get on top of them.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of eyes on Hydro here to potentially flank into the backline and maybe pick off Disclosure. With the Mercy as the other backline partner, there really isn't very much protecting him unless Sar or Damon want to try and heal back for him and take their eyes off of the rest of the fight. So this Zenyatta from Disclosure has to be very passive, as once again, point presence from Fifth Dimension, they will take the point first.
Well, the passive play isn't really necessary, so they're still able to help spam down Chaos right there. A key component of Fifth Dimension's roster, as you said. One component goes down from this rush composition. It's so vulnerable to attack, as they're more or less just farming for ultimates, trying to catch out Sar. But they're not going to let that happen, as Edis is able to burst through Julo, beaming them away. That focusing beam is deadly for any tank player, just ask him. As Fifth Dimension actually still hold on to their capture here. I was assuming Project W would force them off, but these occasional touches seem to be Fifth Dimension's game plan.
Yeah, so, I mean, Fifth Dimension, this is how they want to play. Project W are playing a very slow comp here. They want to win by sort of playing back, playing a little passive and waiting until Arca and Edis can get picks. And that's happening, But Fifth Dimension's win condition is basically just playing the objective, trying to stay on the point for as long as possible, because they know that Project W just can't stay on the point and sustain themselves for as long as they can. And they're using it to their advantage, even though the kills continue to go towards Project W. Fifth Dimension are climbing above 60%, 65, and the Reinhardt's back on the points can delay it even further.
And Project W, and desperate ultimate after ultimate is being committed just to get this point off, and at 70%, we finally get the flip. Amazing right there from Fifth Dimension. And look, they still have 3 ultimates.
Yeah, Fifth Dimension playing their comp to a T, just enduring the barrage of poke that Project W is putting onto them right now. However, they will have the Bob and both support ultimates going into this one, so now that they have the point, it's gonna be quite a challenge to potentially push through, as Keela's High Noon doesn't get much.
It buys them space, and that's enough for Hydro to slip into the backline. They're looking for this pulse bomb. If they're able to get rid of Disclosure before the Transcendence is forced, well, now they're not going to get much value from that Transcendence. Fifth Dimension the advantage with the support ultimates, but they've sort of traded places, and that's not a great spot to be in right there. The AoE healing, though, does keep them all alive in that small room, and they explode out with the sound barrier. Getting 2 kills immediately. Natlock's going down as Keela does their signature move with the 6-shooter, taking down tank after tank, getting rid of any of those diving targets who could be causing them trouble. This Project W is evicted from the point for the most part. Can they get the same stall, though? You can see they're definitely going for it, but I feel like Fifth Dimension, with their beefy rush composition, was a little more suited for that. Project W is going to give it up right as they're tying up in percent.
Yeah, the pulse bomb from Hydro was absolutely crucial for Fifth Dimension to be able to retake there. Getting the stick onto Disclosure forced out the Transcendence very early, which meant that it was not available to help SAR sustain through the close-range brawl damage that Reinhardt and D.Va can commit. Now, wholesale changes from Project W. They're going to try a Brawl v Brawl.
Taking the high ground immediately, committing to a no ultimate fight, but you've got to at this point. You're in last fight territory, and I think the brawl is a little bit better without the ultimates as Julo goes into the pit. Natlox with a boop of the century right there, and another one onto MXD. 2 picks from the Lucio. Just when we thought Sobek was the aggro Lucio, Natlox comes in and says, no, I'm the boop god in here. And another one for Natlox, the Lucio god right here, saving their team just when they needed it most, speeding them into victory. Now, as 70% in building for Project W.
This was absolutely clutch from Natlox. Fifth Dimension had 3 ultimates on the board. Jula was looking for the Shatter, but Natlox said, no, thank you. You're looking for the Void instead. Now, and with that win, Project W has now gotten the opportunity to build ultimates of their own as we head into this final fight. Project W very much has a chance to hold this now.
Yeah, it's all about avoiding picks, avoiding boops. You can't let that happen again, and hopefully your awareness is a little more top-notch this time, as Arca going to go for the High Noon through the Ant Matrix. So much damage right there, but the self-destruct forces them into an uncomfortable situation all inside, right into the waiting arms of Fifth Dimension, as Julo gets the Shatter onto 2. They avoid the boop that time from Natlox. No, 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 they say, as Keela gets the double High Noon, the finisher right here. It's all stalled right now for Project W as overtime is burning away, and they're not able to touch. Fifth Dimension getting the 2-0 on Ilios and going up 1-0 in these losers semifinals of EMEA Open Division.
What a fascinating clash of styles we saw in this map between Project W and Fifth Dimension. Fifth Dimension using those tanky brawl comps to take presence onto the point. Project W relying more on the pokey, long-range hit scans and flying characters like Echo and Ash. However, when it comes to playing the objective and holding a having a spot on the map for a certain amount of time, Fifth Dimension knew that their comp was better at holding that space, and therefore, Fifth Dimension ended up just barely coming out on top.
Yeah, Fifth Dimension, as we saw in their previous match against the Goblets, in general, I don't think they mind losing for the majority of the fight and then still winning it, because that is the style we saw again and again and again, going to 99 to 99 a lot against their previous opponent. So Fifth Dimension, comfortable in that losing style of play. I don't want to call it losing because obviously they're winning, but they're okay with being in disadvantage.
Yeah, I think Fifth Dimension is sort of in the it's always winnable mindset, where even if it's like a 2v6 on the point, they're going, no, we're going to keep on contesting this point for as long as we can. We are never going to concede until the point is actually flipped, and then we'll regroup. And it, on multiple occasions, got them 20, 30 more percent than they really should have, because Project W was forced to continue to pick off the stragglers, and Fifth Dimension just did such a good job at staying alive.
And what that does is it puts Project W's mental game to the test. Because when that overtime is being extended forever, it's natural to want to commit some ultimates, to want to make sure that you're actually going to win the fight, but that puts you at a disadvantage when Fifth Dimension finally says, okay, it's our turn with ultimates.
Yeah, I think we saw Project W getting a little overeager with ultimates several times throughout that map, overcommitting and using ultimates early, ultimates being forced out maybe when they didn't want it to be. And Fifth Dimension was really able to take advantage, just sort of absorb the blow and then fight back. I'd say very, very good resolve overall being shown for Fifth Dimension, though. Project W definitely gave them a bit of trouble.
They certainly did, but now we are on to our payload section of Open Division. Coming in now, we saw Fifth Dimension on Havana earlier today put on a show on defense, getting the fuller hold over their opponent. So now, we'll see if they repeat that, because besides Havana, I would say Rialto is the place where you see full holds the most often, as it is going to be Project W on the defense first.
Yeah, and as a reminder, I believe as the losers of the last map, this was a Project W pick. They seem very confident in their double bubble strategies, as that is what they are coming out on once again. It's very similar to what we saw before, a bit more of a traditional double bubble. We're going to be seeing Sar trying to make space for his Zarya Daemon to try and get in and do damage to the Fifth Dimension tanks. I'd be kind of surprised if I saw Julo stay on the Roadhog here, maybe try and get the hooks off the bridge, but no, it's going to be a Monkey. It's a double bubble comp both ways.
Yeah, you've been baited, my friend. It happens to the best of us all the time. You always gotta wonder. But what I do gotta wonder about for me, personally, is where these DPS fit into Fifth Dimension's lineup. Obviously, Keela, McCree is a comfort pick for them, and Hydro is going to be in with the dive, but I feel like overall, Project W's DPS get a little more utility. Fifth Dimension have to leverage their grounded potential right here, as Keela isn't going to be able to follow the DPS to the high ground. Even without that following, though, Fifth Dimension are still able to force Project W off. Project W, they're going down to the low ground. Going for the counter dive now, but right into the double bubble. That's not a recipe for a good time, as Edith has to retreat back to the Mega Health Pack. No casualties quite yet, but Fifth Dimension taking a lot of space.
Yeah, I mean, this is the kind of the difference in DPS choices coming into play. Fifth Dimension are playing with much more short-range DPS comps that can play with their front line. Project W are more playing with their back line with the Ashe and the Echo, which provides probably more long-range comps, long-range poke in unorthodox sight lines like we're seeing right now. Ida's getting plenty of value, but we saw that aggressiveness as just it's pretty much just the tanks of Project W in a close range trying to get 4v2 as both tanks and the DPS of Fifth Dimension attack.
Yeah, I think it was a lot of that Bob that broke the hold up there, and the Nano Boost was completely negated by getting the stun right there on to Chaos. That was unfortunate for them. They were without a bubble, bursted down even with the Nano Boost. Now they're going for the low ground rotation. You're going to be taking it slow, but with MXD going down, I don't know if you want to commit to this if this Pulse Bomb doesn't land, which it does not.
They are going to commit, though. The grab has been put in by Chaos and the rally from Sobek, but now Sobek is gone, and I think Fifth Dimension is going to be wanting this fight back.
Dividing. They grabbed an Echo and a Winston. The Echo duplicated a Winston, and you had 2 Primal Rages in a grab. That's like a tornado of monkey arms right there.
Yeah, and what are you supposed to do? That is just an infinite pool of health that you're trying to burn down in this grab? You just can't do it. And now, Damon on Project W is going to be able to respond with his own grab, and Natlox with his own rally. So Project W looking to get a good grab here, and I don't know if that's quite what Damon was looking for.
Looking to catch the dive before it went off, but they're just a second too late. The projectile didn't get them in time, and because of that, Project W gonna whiff the grab. Fifth Dimension, the huge opportunity since they didn't get caught, and they're just gonna push it right on through to the end. Julo chases Arca into the drink, but that might even just be his switch. For this point, I'm not sure, but Fifth Dimension really capitalizing on that one little mistake.
Yeah, Damon was looking to catch the tanks of Fifth Dimension before they went in. Unfortunately, it was just a little bit too late. A high-risk play did not pay off, as now Chaos has the grab, has the nano, and he is ripping through Fifth Dimension, ripping through Project W right now.
This time, Chaos does not get shut down, but you see that little 3K from Sobek? That Brig is already almost up to the rally again. That is pretty nice from them. Sobek, player of the match from last game for being an aggressive off support. Definitely proving it now. And Keela trying to earn some respect of their own. Going for the high noon, but it just bursts through the bubbles. Some nice peel right there from Daemon to save their team. But now Keela has to run right into the Bob's waiting arms. But Arca is shut down. They're able to shut down Pyro in return, though, as Daemon comes in for revenge after Chaos's performance last time. 2 minutes left for Fifth Dimension's push.
Yeah, and now Project W has control over this high ground. Oh man, Julo just kind of get himself off the edge as soon as possible. That is a beautiful stagger from Project W, I think off of a sleep from Disclosure. So beautiful stuff from them, and now they have control over this high ground and over this choke point on Rialto, which is one of the most difficult high grounds, in my opinion, to break, just because of all the different angles that they can take on you. As MXD, I mean, there's nothing you can do.
Yeah, look at the open plane you have to cross dividing. It's almost unfeasible, as Chaos avoids getting booped, but they're still able to save their own life. Barely escaping from the monkey, but once they transform back, once the werewolf phase is over, now it's time for the kill as he just cleans them up. And it's just a day at the shooting range right now, as they have to cross this big wide open bridge, and with the long range potential of Project W's DPS, it's not really happening.
Yeah, trying to get across this bridge without taking any damage is going to be difficult. Julo doing, I think, the right thing, trying to distract the DPS while his supports get across. But that's only step 1 of, like, 4, where now we have a Primal Raging Monkey that they have to deal with, and...
How much damage is SAR doing? They have had a Primal Rage every single fight. At first I thought it was a coincidence, but now I'm not so sure. As now, it's Julo's turn with the Primal Rage, able to use it to make the space necessary for Keela to get the cleanup onto the Bob. As from above, it looks like they have a chance to clean up right now. Hydro, it's all on them to hit this Pulse Bomb. That could break the recontest better than anything, but, oh, Project W is bottled up in their side of the map. Chased away by the duo of Hydro and Julo. The pressure was too much, so they just gave up the second point.
Yeah, once Fifth Dimension were finally able to cross the bridge and force a more close quarters fight, that is where their comp really shines with the Tracer and the McCree. The Echo and the Ashe really like to play with space, and when they don't have it, it becomes very difficult for them to get value. Now, Edis coming into this fight with the Duplicate. Very interested to see what he goes with here. He's gonna go with the Rhine.
Yeah, hoping to get a Shatter, but they're pressured down so much they haven't even been able to drop their shield. There's the Shatter, though, off the Shard and the Nano. They get stunned themselves, though. Barely able to use it. The Shatter not finding anything, but Hydro is. And out of that shatter of their own, they're able to go in and clean up. Hydro, with their damage, it's almost as good as a peel right there, as Chaos getting so much value. Keela, firing away on that 6-shooter, is able to help force through this fight. This grab lies the hopes and dreams of Project W.
Yeah, Damon is going to be looking for something big here, but Chaos knows that, I'm sure, and he will be looking for the eat. In addition, Fifth Dimension coming into this one with a High Noon, with a Shatter, with an Amplification Matrix. They definitely have the tools to close out this attack. Damon wants to end it right here, along with Arca's Bob.
Chaos gained their fame last game by getting so many eats. They were pretty hungry, but they need to be very hungry now as Arca has already found Hydro. You're in overtime now and you're trading 1 for 1. The grab does not get eaten, but the peel is good enough. The Immortality Field committed is enough to keep Fifth Dimension alive throughout, but the shield is getting low. Julo barely keeping their team protected, and now there's nothing to prevent the shatter. Going straight through the payload, ripping through the enemy team. Fifth Dimension sent to their knees as Edith cleans up the last remaining straggler. Hydro, as clutch as they are not able to save the point. And at the mouth of the last checkpoint, Fifth Dimension is held. Project W have a chance, have a win condition on their counter pick of Rialto.
What was that shatter from Sar? I mean, he got a double kill, not with the follow-up to the shatter, but with the damage from the shatter itself, which I think does like 50 damage. It's not nothing, but you definitely don't see that icon in the kill feed super often. I mean, it shows how well Project W was winning the brawl up to that point, to have so many players to Fifth Dimension so low as the shatter came out. But man, that was flashy. That was fun to watch.
Certainly was. Now Project W going on to this double bubble composition. Once again, they found a lot of success with it at times, especially on the second point. But getting through this first point hold, that's the tricky part, especially as from the looks of how they're playing, how they're positioning, I would think Fifth Dimension would want to get all up close and personal with, yeah, they're going for the frontal hold, it looks like.
This is a great play from Fifth Dimension and a great read. Like I've mentioned, Fifth Dimension knows that if they can force an up-close fight, they have a huge advantage against the long-range DPS that Project W likes to play. So they're going to go right up to the spawn here and make sure that they have no room at all to work with.
On the high ground, it's looking like trying to get the picks they desire, but not a lot of, well, not a lot gained, because they need to get off of the high ground in order to get people on the underhang. Trying to get someone on the point, but if Edis goes out there, they're dead for sure as they try and move that car out. Try and get them some space to work with. The wall puts Sar in a very uncomfortable situation. A nice anti-nade, but Fifth Dimension, they just huddle up underneath their overhang. They're fine, they're safe, they're secure.
This is a really interesting problem for Project W to deal with. Sar cannot sustain on the point. Once again, a beautiful anti-nade from Disclosure. But MXD right there with the Immortality Field and the Amplification Matrix. Both the DPS on Project W are gone. However, Arca is coming up on the Bob, which could be really good at flushing out this Fifth Dimension team.
Dividing, I feel like these anti-nades are doing more to hurt Project W than Fifth Dimension, because Project W, they want to jump off the high ground to punish, but they never are able to. Instead, the minute they show their faces to get those purple targets, they fall. As Fifth Dimension continue the hold right here. Off of that Immortality Field, they survive the brunt of Project W's ultimates as Keela goes for the duel inside. The May helps them finish it off. And this is already half the time almost off of Project W's attack.
I mean, Project W, I can understand that you want to get your ultimates and work off of that, but it just feels like the more they stick on these more long-range heroes, this more long-range comp, the more it seems to hurt them, the more time off the clock. The grab from Damon finally seems to be enough, but yeah, that is half the time off the clock before the payload even moves 5 meters.
That's gonna hurt a lot, especially as Fifth Dimension, they're still coming up on this sound barrier. They got both tank ultimates in Project W. That was a heavy commitment just to get out the door. They're onto the Reinhardt as well, which I don't think is their comfort pick, but they needed a way to contest Julo.
Yeah, and this took a lot from Project W just to get the cart moving. They're pretty much only going to be working with DPS ultimates, maybe a nano from Disclosure, but they will be playing into Julo's Shatter, Chaos's Bomb, the Beat. This is going to be tough.
You're gonna have to contend with a double Reinhardt shield right now, blocking one Shatter. Julo looking for the Shatter of their life, but they might not need it as Keela gets the 2-for-1 package onto the Ashe and her bomb. I don't think you're gonna need any ultimates. It's better to play conservative, play safe, but Fifth Dimension continue their full hold right now. A minute left before Project W is down to their match point.
Yeah, and Project W, once again, is forced to mirror the Brawl comp at the end of a map. This is something I've noticed they've been doing, and it has never really worked out very well for them so far, as they are so far behind on ultimates. They're going to have to play into Hydro's Blizzard, the Amp Matrix, but Jula, walled off, goes down.
A great wall, but the great Blizzard right there is enough to prevent any follow-up on the grab, and MXD, through their amplification matrix, finds 3. And that is an excellent play to play without your Reinhardt. Sure, the amp matrix isn't a shield, but when you're killing so many people, it might as well be.
Yeah, absolutely. Project W now with one chance to potentially, just to get this past point A. They do have tools. They have the Shatter. They'll have both support ultimates probably as well if they can keep this fight going for a little longer. First objective though for SAR is blocking Julo's Shatter.
Keela looking for this high noon they've gotten before, and they slip a bullet through for their counterpart. No McCree on the field at all for Project W now. Has the game on. They're able to get the 1 pick, but it's not enough. Fifth Dimension with the full hold once again. I talked about their full hold on Havana. I was like, ooh, maybe it's not going to happen after that defense right there, but there it is. The 2-0 right now for Fifth Dimension, giving themselves quite the dominant little showing, as MXD definitely deserves this play.
Yeah, let's see this amplification matrix into the Blizzard. I mean, look at this. This is just, I mean, he's just playing aim labs right now. The targets are popping up on his screen, and he is knocking them down with precision. And that, especially on the defense, Fifth Dimension were able to read what their win condition was against Project W, force a close quarters brawly fight, and Project W just had no real way to respond, at least until their Zarya finally got their grab online. And that is not a consistent enough win condition, one of the slowest generating ultimates in the game. So I think beautiful decision making from Fifth Dimension there, and I mean Project W just looked outplayed.
Oh, so they certainly did. I felt like these close range fights, Project W has not been able to wrap their head around it. And on Rialto, it's especially damaging because you want to be on the high ground. You know where you can't shoot at the enemy team from the high ground. It almost would have been better just to commit to a mobile composition that could go to the opposing high ground where the defense should be holding and shoot at them from there, because then you would actually have an angle on them. But instead, they just kept sticking to where they couldn't really get the finishing blows onto their opponents, and that was a real detriment to them.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned it before. I think Project W was under the impression that, oh, Disclosure is getting a bunch of really good anti-nades, so we'll probably just play off of that. But Fifth Dimension was more than ready to counter this. They were more than ready to just kind of huddle underneath the high ground. They could not really get any value out of those anti-nades, because again, they can't drop down to the low ground, because then they're just going to get melted by the Brawl comp. I think if you're Project W, you see that's happening, and you swap to a Brawl comp almost instantly. That's probably the most reliable way you're going to flesh out that close hold, but they didn't. They stuck on it until the grab finally came out to eventually get the cart moving, but in the end, it was not enough.
Yeah, it wasn't enough, and so those last-minute swaps, I don't think we're going to be seeing them this time on what could be Project W's tournament map, as they, for their counterpick, are taking us to King's Row. And that, to me, tells me, okay, we've been swapping to the Brawl at the end of maps, not getting any ultimates, not getting a chance to really play a mirror. We're playing like a mirror, but the mirror has a crack in it, so we don't get any ultimates. Instead, they're going to go fully with this Brawl composition and see if they can stand toe-to-toe with Fifth Dimension on their own turf, the jolly old streets of London.
Yeah, this is a very interesting pick for Project W, especially considering how this game has gone so far. I mean, we've been watching them play these close quarters matches. We've been seeing them play the Brawl v Brawl. It always seems to be Fifth Dimension that has the upper hand in those fights. But Project W seem to have a plan. They seem fairly confident in their abilities. It is, of course, called Scrims Row for a reason. Everyone has played this map 1,000 times. So when it comes down to it, Project W just needs to play what they're comfortable with and hope that it's enough to potentially spark a reverse sweep here.
And I do think there is a lot of potential here. Project W, they love Edas on this Echo. And I actually don't mind an Echo in Brawl. I feel like you lose out on the utility of the McCree, but I think Echo is probably one of the best tank busters in the game. So if you're able to take away that crucial piece from the Fifth Dimension puzzle, well, then they're not going to be able to solve that in time to save a fight. That's not always going to be feasible when you're getting stunned, you're getting frozen, but I feel like Project W definitely have some win conditions if they commit to this Brawl.
Yeah, absolutely, and commit to the Brawl they will. Project W is showing a fairly traditional Brawl rush sort of composition. However, some very interesting deviations. Arca is going to be going on to the Hanzo, probably going to be swapping between short and long range damage, using those storm arrows to break the enemy tanks faster than maybe a McCree could. And also Damon going on to the Sigma, which not as good at peeling, not much movement options, but definitely solidifies their front line even more with 2 shields for Fifth Dimension to break through instead of 1. Fifth Dimension going just about as traditional as they come.
I'm gonna be looking for the Gravitic Flux Dragon. A little bit different from the Grab Dragon we know and love, but it still immobilizes the enemy team long enough for you to get a punish. Project W, that's one of their win conditions, and they got to play around that, because Fifth Dimension, with their amazing amount of CC, they could just isolate any one of these targets as they're going for the jump. They get the split right here, and now that main tank is trapped. Got to commit the Immortality Field so early. Project W managed to hold on to the high ground, but they need to get a point presence out there soon.
Yeah, and again, I mean, this just seems like a repeat of King's Row. Fifth Dimension goes, okay, you want to go on the high ground? We will just play the objective. Sar jumps down a little bit early and gets absolutely melted, and it seems like it's going to be only a matter of time for the rest of Project W join him back in spawn.
Yeah, that was just kind of a slow rotation down to the low ground for Project W. It seemed like they didn't have a plan for what Fifth Dimension threw at them, and without that plan, they just ended up going one by one, tippy-toeing onto the point, and setting off the traps.
Yeah, it seems like they wanted to use the more long range of Hanzo and Sigma, you know, compared to like a D.Va to potentially try and get pickoffs onto Fifth Dimension as they try to contest the high ground. Did not happen. Fifth Dimension did not play their game, decided to play their own, and as it seems, once again, Project W could not come up with a good answer in time.
Right there. It is going to be Star going so low, and they can't retreat back to the Immortality Field in time. Taken out by Chaos. Disclosure not able to peel for that tank, as once again, the split and the crumble from Project W. Arca able to find one retreating kill, but this close to spawn, Kilo is going to be right back.
Yeah, absolutely. Project W just seem a little bit scrambled right now, trying to figure out what exactly is your win condition. Now Arca's going to swap onto the McCree after using the Dragons, and we are seeing a mirror matchup here. But Arca, a full fight behind Kila in terms of High Noon ult charge. And Fifth Dimension is going to have both tank ults and the beat. I mean, Project W has quite the task ahead of them if they want to hold this.
Chaos looking for this Blizzard. They need to find it if they want to give themselves a surefire fight, as Arca has already won the duel against Kila. With the Ant Matrix, they can't really contest that open field, though. Going to have to retreat back to the alleyway. Dimension just going to choose to back off, not feed any more ult charge to the beast.
Yeah, Sobek used his beat earlier than Natlox at least, and that allowed Project W to sustain themselves just for long enough to find Hydro, get the pick off onto him as he was frozen. He froze himself up in their backline, and that is able to then allow them to stabilize here near the end of point B. However, early Blizzard coming out from Edis, and it is beautiful.
Oh, and the wall too. Flawless isolation play from Edis right there. Walling off the Reinhardt, catching everyone else with the Blizzard. And because of the way Blizzard works, everyone else gets ultimate charge cleaning up the fight. And on top of that, oh, Chaos, they went for the kill. But Project W a little too wary for that, and they just get to extend the stagger even more. This is going to be like 45 seconds off the clock dividing.
Yeah, I get trying. No, it's actually been a little bit too long. As Nahila gets in the back, gets Edis, but no, okay. The shatter from the SAR is going to ensure that no, they actually will not be getting a cheeky recontest here. Chaos finally sent back to spawn, and as I was going to say, I get trying to be cheeky with the remet kills, but it is definitely really difficult to get one of those into this brawl comp. Everyone has a way to sustain somehow. Worst comes to worst, Disclosure could just use the Immortality Field, and then that's just like 600 HP worth of ult charge that you're feeding to the other team.
It's kind of rough right there, as they got the instant DMAC. Project W able to reset this map almost entirely on this backline rotation. It's going to be very tough to try and work off of this high noon as the shatter from Julo does find SAR. A big opportunity with no shield in the way. They don't have to worry about that matrix at all, just pushing right through it. Julo leading the charge onto the enemy team, and even though there are a few eliminations, they are still able to keep the push going. Fifth Dimension breaking through the hold after that unfortunate long stagger Project W got.
Yeah, finally Fifth Dimension able to fully reset, get themselves a 6v6 fight, and that is where we saw Julo get a little bit of an MTD there onto SAR, a massive Earth Shatter to bring down the enemy Reinhardt, and that is going to allow them to take point B. But Project W definitely keeping up the aggression as they beat in. And now we see Julo getting another kill onto SAR here, as the cart continues to move in favor of Fifth Dimension. We seem to have lost Kilo Miles here. That's alrighty though. I can do the solo cast here, the dividing solo cast, the stuff of legends. As now we see the Amp Matrix coming out from Keela. He's coming out from MXD, sorry. Keela looking for the high noon around the corner. Does not get much. Nice little huddle maneuver from Project W. Ultimates coming out from either side, but neither of them seem to be getting much value. But now here comes the late Blizzard from Edis, and it seems to be enough. Disclosure chiming in with his own amplification matrix. Gets himself two, and while there seem to be kills going either direction, we do have the spawn advantage heavily in favor of Project W, so they will get to hold here. 90 seconds left on the clock. As Fifth Dimension look to push back in, they pretty much just have the Blizzard to work with. Damon is going to be looking for an eat here, of course. That would be the ideal situation to eat that Blizzard. But it is going to be Arca, going to be sped around the corner, and he will be rewarded with Hydro, not even able to use that Blizzard. SAR has found a second kill on Julo, and now, the boop there from Natlux, from Sobek was, I would say, a bit, there's a word I'm looking for, and I can't remember it. That happens to me sometimes. That's okay. But good thing news for Fifth Dimension. They did not use any ultimates in that fight after Hydra went down, which means they have a ton of tools to get themselves over the line here in the final fight. 5 ultimates on the board here, everything except for the beat, and that beat from Natlox comes out early. Ediz is able to find a headshot kill onto MXD to open things up. Here comes the Blizzard from Hydro. The kills coming through in favor of Fifth Dimension, just barely, but we do have picks going both sides, and you do not want to see that if you're a Fifth Dimension fan. The spawn advantage is so in favor of Project W that it is already just continues to be even on the point. A pig, oh no, Sarge charges himself off the map. He tried to take the May with him, but it was not enough. The charge did not connect. Disclosure goes down. Now, oh man, that was a bit of an iffy decision, I would say, from Sar. He should have just been contesting the point for as long as he could, but now without that Reinhardt, the rest of Project W are falling one by one, and it's looking like Fifth Dimension will be able to finish it. We will be getting Kilo Miles back in here in just a moment. Seems to be having a bit of Discord issues. Hopefully my play-by-play is adequate enough for you all in chat. I think Project W kind of thought that fight was won. I'll be honest. I think Project W were going into that fight saying, we've got the ult advantage, we've got the spawn advantage, so, just keep on fighting out, keep taking trades, and we should win this. And Sar said, okay, you want trades? I will charge myself into the pit and take a player with me. Missed, and that is when the fight seemed to swing really in favor of Fifth Dimension, who were able to pick off the rest of their team and get themselves the finish. Now, both teams seem to be locking in the mirror comps, and yeah, mirror comps very much a traditional Brawl v Brawl. This is what you love to see on King's Road. Do we have Kilo Miles back? He joined the Discord. No, we do not have him back. That's okay. We're gonna be good friends, chat. We're gonna be good friends today. We're gonna get to know each other really well. As the gates open on Project W's attack, Fifth Dimension were able to finish, but it was in overtime, so there is definitely opportunity here for Project W to get themselves really back into this game with a strong attack here as they are speeding around the statue, forcing Julo back. However, no picks taken just yet. Chaos in a little bit of trouble, manages to jet himself to the safety of his backline. And now it's Sar in trouble, pushing forward, but the poke damage too much. However, Julo, stunned, taken down in an instant. That is a main tank moment right there. But now it is the amplification matrix from Disclosure, built up so quickly, that seems to be making the difference. MXD doing what he can with an amp matrix of his own, but it is not going to be enough, it seems. It's just the supports left, but supports continue to get picks, actually. A tick hasn't even been taken yet. Now the Reinhardt is back. Are you kidding me? The support line from Fifth Dimension has absolutely saved this for them. And now Kila is coming up with the high noon. A tick finally taken for Project W, but it feels like they should have had more. They absolutely should have gotten more. Now the speed boost coming in from Natlox. Project W has taken a second pick at Fifth Dimension, forced to hide in the hotel, and now here they come. They're coming back, and Julo taken solo. The ultimates are forced to be committed to keep him alive. Damon gets a pick on the MXD. That no Baptiste on the side of Fifth Dimension. Is it going to be enough? Picks going back and forth. Damon trying to do what he can on this Diva, trying to hold things down here. 96.9%. This fight has not ended. And now finally, Project W fought tooth and nail for it, but they will finally take point A.
Yep,
yeah,
and
like one big... Hey, Kilo Miles, you're back.
Yeah, I'm alive again, thank word, as we are getting back into it after a rough point A. Project W forcing their way through and didn't even use every ultimate they have. Still 3 in the bank right here.
Yeah, Project W were eventually able to get themselves across. I don't know how much of that fight you were able to see, but I think the always winnable strategy definitely came into play from Fifth Dimension there. That aggro play, Project W was not ready for it.
Certainly weren't, as now the amplification matrix nullified by that wall, but they don't need it. They're going straight in for the brawl. Might be a little unfortunate though, but they're able to break through the immortality field regardless. Keela with the precise shots, one after one, taking out these supports, and that is enough to make them crumble. The wall, well, a little scary for Julo right there, but they're fine, just getting the stagger.
Yep, Fifth Dimension, once again, once they're able to take 10 seconds, get a full regroup, they seem to understand this brawl comp better than Project W overall and get themselves a win. Now, there's a lot of ultimates on the board here. Both teams are going to have, I think, 4 going into this one, so this will be quite the match here as, ooh, man, Killa just barely able to roll out of the brawl. And, oh,
It looks like it's
Sorry, go
a
ahead.
while to catch that behind rotation right there as Project W now have swapped sides with the defense. With this high noon, they're trying to pressure down these tanks, and they go right around thanks to the speed boost from the good friend Natlox. They caught him out, and without that support, it looks like Project W are able to get the cleanup. Those double walls, it made things a little too confusing for Fifth Dimension to contend with.
Yeah, I mean, Arca just leaning around the high noon, leaning around the ice wall with the high noon. What a play from him, getting the high noon kill followed by the headshot. And I mean, with the way those walls were positioned, they were basically lining up for him too. Sar that was an interesting move, kind of turning around, I think taking some pokes so that he could help his supports get up to their ultimates. If that was on purpose, I think it was very smart.
Oh, but gonna have to be careful with this aggression as Project W's tanks are going so low and the shield isn't there to save the backline. Chaos, and the chaos they made is able to get the cleanup, and they go right in for the May in the end. It is falls, and now they have 1:45 left to hold. Fifth Dimension stops the cart at the mouth of Point C.
Yeah, once again, this end of Point B here is always such a good place to hold if you are the defense. The spawn advantage, which is usually has been pretty much in favor of the attackers up to this point, is now pretty much even. However, Project W is going to be going into this with an amplification matrix with the beat. Fifth Dimension had to use just about everything to take control. All they will have is Keela's high noon. Let's see if he can get anything with it.
Going up high, able to find Natlox, the speed, the wind taken out of the sails of Project W. Without that, the mobility is cut in half. You have to use the immortality field to sustain right here. They want to build as many ultimates as they can, even if they're not going to win this fight. But this is taking a little too long. It's going to be a long cleanup right now, and they're going to have one fight left. Project W going up against the wall that is Fifth Dimension.
Yeah, I mean, that was a beautiful play from Fifth Dimension. The high noon came up from Keela. Project W used the May wall to counter it. Fifth Dimension uses their own May wall to boost up Keela and get a clear view of everyone on Project W. Took out the Lucio. There's no beat for that fight. And without that sustain, I mean, Project W, we're just sitting ducks. And now, this is pretty much the last chance. Project W's open division lives on the line right here.
And they open it up with a bang from the 6-shooter of Arca, taking out their counterpart. Keela isn't able to block a shatter though, as that is going to be a nice stall tactic right there from Julo. It's not going to be enough though, as Daemon gets the massive bomb. Both supports gone as Sar leads the cart into the final point. The last chance that they have to stay in open division rests in 1:30.
Yeah, Damon just barely manages to keep Project W alive here, but Julo, he's been taking down the amplification matrix. He was not expecting it from Disclosure, and he gets absolutely melted. Now 2 members of Fifth Dimension on the ground, and that is 3 cart push for Project W. That is going to allow them to get the cart around to the second corner to the point where one good fight could pretty much allow them to finish the map.
And all the pressure right now lies on Edis. We've seen the Blizzard be big before. It needs to happen now as Keela from the flank is going to look. Oh, they're in the front line, though. That's scary. The sound barrier, it's not enough. Julo goes down. Daemon finds that crucial pick, but they go off the edge themselves. 1-for-1 right now. We'll have to take a look back on that at some point. But for now, it just means there's just going to be one less tank. Julo back in the fight quicker, though. 5v6 for the moment as Hydro, they go for this Blizzard. Doesn't get eaten. Daemon isn't able to find it, and they have Scar isolated. The Reinhardt is completely taken away from their team as 20 seconds remain.
Yeah, the remaining members of Project W, they've got to get out. Ed is throwing himself off the map to try and make sure that Project W can have one more good chance at a fight here. The late Blizzard from Hydro ended up being what Fifth Dimension needed to hold on. Damon is trapped. He's getting taken out. Matlock's down, and oh my, it's all falling apart for Project W.
Project W, they had an amazing run, outperforming their seeds so much. But eventually, you have to deal with the Fifth Dimension. You're not going to make it through. Fifth Dimension going to be moving on through the EMEA Losers Finals as Project W taken down. An admirable performance. They kept it even. They kept it close. But ultimately, the brawl was too powerful for them to contend with.
Yeah, I mean, I have to give it the Project W. They definitely gave Fifth Dimension a run for their money. This 3-0 scoreline, I don't think reflects just how close this series was, especially on Ilios and on Kings Row. They definitely put up a really good fight, but Fifth Dimension, in the end, seemed to be a level above, pulled out clutch when Project W couldn't, and they will be moving on to the Losers Finals, one game away from securing a spot in Contenders Trials.
And that's a lot of pressure on them, especially as, let's just check in right here, see who they're going for. Yeah. The number 1 seed, their sister team, Fourth Dimension, is their opponent. Coming up in a little bit. They have to take out the team that sent them to the losers bracket. And obviously the Dimension rosters, either way, they're still getting a team in trials, but now it gets personal. Now we get to see the slugfest come out, as this is going to be a hot one.
Yeah, Fifth Dimension versus Fourth Dimension. As you mentioned, this isn't the first time that these teams have played today. Earlier on, it was not on stream, however, they did play in the winners semifinals, and Fourth Dimension came out on top 3-1 at that point. So these sister teams are going to be going head to head, a little bit of sibling rivalry, if you will, to see which one goes to trials and which one will be cheering them on from the sidelines.
Yep, and now, just before we wrap up, get ready for that amazing Losers Finals. I gotta ask, out of everyone who you just saw, who do you have your eyes on as a player of the match? Who do you have your eyes on going into the next match?
Yeah, I really gotta shout out the Fifth Dimension support line here. I think they really came through for Fifth Dimension when they needed them. I think that the ultimates were on a point from them, and I think their aggression, they were not afraid to frag out when they needed to. I don't know if you saw on Kings Row, I was absolutely shocked when it was just Sobek and MXD on the point against like everyone from Project W, and they just kept getting pick after pick after pick and managed to keep the recontest alive for like a minute longer than it should have. I was so impressed by that. So I think the Fourth Dimension team has to be on the lookout for Sobek and MXD.
It's going to be tough to get any work done when every other member of the team is bolstered by the magnificent performance of Sobek and MXD, who are not afraid to frag out on their sister team when they need to. And we'll see if they get those frags as we go into the Losers Finals after this quick break.
See you in a minute.
Welcome back, everybody, to the EMEA Overwatch top 4 right now, or rather top 3,
Top 3.
as we're into the losers finals. And what a matchup we have! As my name is Kilo Miles, joined once again by Dividing, and we have the two sister teams, 4th Dimension and 5th Dimension, taking it on for a spot in Contenders.
And
Trials.
I'm sure that will not be confusing at any point during this match. There's no way that either of us will ever mix it up.
Never.
It's
It doesn't
fine.
happen. It's a number. I know numbers. There's like 10 of them. So you're able to tell the difference. It's 4th Dimension. I do know a number that is associated with them is 1, because they were our first seed here, but they were knocked down into the losers just a moment ago, as 5th Dimension just won their way into the losers finals after being knocked down by 4th Dimension. This is a match that has already happened today.
Yeah, it happened. It was not on stream, but it happened just a few hours ago. 4th Dimension and 5th Dimension fought in the winners semifinals. But at the time, of course, it was 4th Dimension who came out on top by a 3-1 scoreline. 5th Dimension now on a roll in the losers bracket with all the momentum in the world, looking for the revenge here.
And an interesting tidbit as well is Project W was originally sent down to the losers bracket by 4th Dimension. So 5th Dimension earned their stripes by beating that same opponent, but now they have to take on their demon, take on their sister team in the form of 4th Dimension. As we'll be getting started on Lijiang Tower to open us up.
Yeah, Lijiang Tower, a favorite of many. As we get ourselves on to, I believe this is Gardens up first. This is a very interesting map because there's a lot of open space to potentially play with, which makes flying DPS more popular. Double bubble comps are often seen here. A lot of really interesting and potentially off-meta things you might see from either of these teams coming up as the hero selections first come in. And I don't want to say too much about these with 20 seconds left for them to potentially swap. 5th Dimension locking in a bit of a dive comp right now, but, we'll see if they decide to change that. I will not be baited again.
4th Dimension's Andre Ko in the past has been famous for their Zen and Moira, but they're sticking more with the meta this time, as it's 5th Dimension who's looking like they're sticking with the Moira, looking for more mid-fight damages. They want to get right to the point off of that Symmetra teleporter. Hydro is going to be in the back. 2 opportunities to one-shot between Braven and Salt, as they need to be very careful about who they pressure, as Braven immediately goes to the point, go for the stun over the top of the shield. Julo falls dangerously low, but the Immortality Field is going to eventually go down, putting these teams on even footing. And MXT without an Immortality Field is almost to their coalescence. Julo able to find Braven as Salt from the backline fires off these icicles. They're not able to find a target though, not able to find that one shot onto the Tracer before Kilo will find another. As slowly but surely 5th Dimension make their way onto the point and get the first capture on Lijiang.
Yeah, Braven just went a little bit too far, just a step or two out of line, trying to find a good angle onto the supports of 5th Dimension. And the brawl comp of 5th Dimension were able to capitalize, just ran on top of Braven, ran him over, more like. And without the consistent damage of that McCree, 5th Dimension were able to get themselves the first fight win here.
And now they got some more consistent damage coming up through that Ant Matrix. Chase Torch able to hit the one shot is Hila, desperate for some sort of pick, but the shield doesn't fall and they eventually get nothing. Now, with the initiating sound barrier, Sobek tries to get 5th Dimension into the fight once again, but the countering one keeps it even, as the Blizzard buys so much space for 4th Dimension to take. And they're not giving it up that easily. Hydro is able to find Braven in the back. That is crucial. And another one. The pulse bomb.
No way.
Hydro. While everyone was distracted with silly things like cleaning up your opponent, Hydro decided to take matters into their own hands. And just like that, it's an even fight. And 5th Dimension is able to take that even fight and turn it in their favor.
What's crazy is that Hydra was the first one to die. He got picked off by a amplification matrix boosted fire strike from Chase Torch. So I think the entirety of 4th Dimension was like, cool, the Tracer's dead, we don't have to worry about her anymore. But Hydro had other plans, got into the backline with 3 kills, and single-handedly keeps the point control in favor of 5th Dimension.
Now the shield is broken though. Julo goes for the shadow, but it's blocked by the ice block. Wasn't expecting that, were you, Julo? Unfortunately, the charge is still going to give them the win as 93% and building. I don't think 4th Dimension are getting back. A nice bit of outplay right there, but in the end, but I don't think it's enough. There's no ultimates on the field at all. 4th Dimension, they got started off on the wrong foot and they never hopped back onto the right one as overtime is built, burning away faster and faster, and the boop out the window sends Frogadier away. Sobek says, this is my point, claiming it with a sound barrier as 5th Dimension get the first point on Lijiang Tower.
Yeah, and I mean, if there was a fight where 4th Dimension were going to win and take the point back and turn this around, it was that fight in the middle where they got the early pick, they used the Blizzard to get themselves space onto the point, and I mean, Hydro absolutely popped off and dashed their dreams right then and there. Speaking of Hydro, currently going on the Symmetra, potentially a teleportation into the point. I've seen this done a lot, and I think it's really fun just to see the whole team teleport on top of the window. I think that's great. But no, looks like Hydro's going to use it instead to help them just get to the point a little bit faster, and he'll swap back onto that Tracer, which I don't blame him for. It worked out for him pretty well last time.
4th Dimension in the front line, looking for that split, and they get it! That stun onto Julo, there's almost no way to appeal for that, especially with no Baptiste in the play. So, with that amazing isolation play from Salt right there, they're able to clean up their sister team in fashion, as 5th Dimension, evicted from the point. 4th are the ones who are going to be on the point.
Yeah, and what a wall from Salt. That's why you play the Mei. 5th Dimension wanted to use that teleporter to make sure that they could get onto the point first, but Salt said, no thank you, ice wall in the way, and I mean, Julo and Sobek were completely sectioned off from the rest of their team and so vulnerable to Chase Torch's hammer. By the way, Chase Torch already with the shatter, Julo only with 50%.
A bit more of a passive wall right there from 4th Dimension. Frogadier down already, no speed boost in play. The mobility cut in half right here is 5th Dimension now. Try to clean up in a concise way. You don't want to give up any more ult charge, any more picks. And even though you eat that stun, you're still able to get them off at just 38%.
And it's Hydro again, absolutely popping off with the long-range snipe with the Mei Icicle, I assume, onto Frogadier. I mean, that's just insane. That's just insane. Mei, it's crazy the long-range potential this character has, but this time it's Killa popping off, Salt down early, which means that Mei utility will not be available for 4th Dimension this fight. Ooh, that was
flying up to the high ground right there, but
fancy.
they had the defense matrix down. So Chaos is doing just fine, and that just buys them more time to hang out on the point. They got the Shatter, they got the Blizzard, and of course 4th Dimension does as well, but the one thing they don't have is the sound barrier. So 5th Dimension, a powerful defensive tool if they need it, and they would need it right now after a big Shatter connects from Chase Torch, but as they go to punish it, they get hit by a Shatter of their own, and now Burial Person in the Blizzard, the turnaround comes through, and they're gonna get the stagger. Killa coming in clutch to get the cleanup, but that was just an amazing bit of game sense from Julo.
I mean, what? Chase Torch gets around to the side, shatters like 4, and then Salt is immediately there with the Blizzard, gets all of them. They push forward, but then it's Julo. No, there's no way this happens, right? There's no way this happens. No,
yeah,
it doesn't. No. It doesn't happen. Chaos really wants a remet kill today, but no, it is actually going to be Ariel getting the first pick onto the Baptiste, the main healer of the team right now, and with that, 4th Dimension should be able to take the point back here.
Yeah, with the bomb immediately connecting, that was more or less a 4v6 on the side of 5th Dimension, but with the Mei wall, they're able to stall for a bit more time, trying to get them into solidly last fight territory, as we've seen 5th Dimension do in the past.
Yeah, once again, Fifth Dimension is always winnable, or at the very least, it's always staggerable. They keep on just throwing themselves at the point for those extra little bits of percentage that they can get, and they're rewarded by over 90%. If they can get Keela into a position to get a pick with this high noon, it could mean the end of Lijiang Tower going to Fifth Dimension.
Now you can see them playing carefully. Braven, oh, brave push out, but the shatter broken through the shield. Julo, after blocking the high noon, there was nothing they could do to save their team from that. Is 70% in building now for Fourth Dimension.
Yeah, that was a nice little set of ultimates there from Fourth Dimension. Use the high noon to break the shields, and then the shatter is ready. Brigadier, though, commits the beat, which I don't agree with. I think that's a little bit of overcommitment, especially since Fifth Dimension didn't use anything. And you're going to want that beat back when Hydro is coming up on his Blizzard. His last fight.
The aggressive high noon seems to be a staple of both these teams, but no kills or shield breaks at all for Keela this time. They still keep their life though, as well as a stun right there. Are they able to escape the bomb though? Yes, they are. The self-destruct does not commit, and the flip comes out, which means they're going to be building towards an overtime of their own. Fifth Dimension is forcing their sister team off the point. Fourth, they need to stay on here. You don't want to go down a map right as you come out of the winner's bracket, but it's not meant to be. Fourth Dimension not able to get onto the point, and because of that, Fifth are going to be taking up the initial map lead 1-0 in the losers finals.
Yeah, Fifth Dimension with some beautiful brawly brawl with between these sister teams, and it just seems like Fifth Dimension not always playing 100% to the meta, but definitely coming out on top over Fourth Dimension in this fight. Some very nice individual performances from players like Hydro. I gotta highlight this guy. He absolutely saved Gardens for Fifth Dimension. And I think there was some really great play from Fifth Dimension. They controlled the tempo really well. They were better at controlling the usage of their ultimates to make sure they were rotating all of their abilities really nicely. Fourth Dimension had moments where they were taken off guard. They had moments where they were overcommitting. So I think great play from Fifth Dimension, and you really start to see how there's a lot of you get to see how this momentum that Fifth Dimension has after making this losers bracket run seems to be affecting them.
Yeah, I feel like in general, Fourth Dimension had better set plays. We saw a lot with the shield breaks into shatters that we've seen from Fifth Dimension, but not quite as often. But the issue is, Fifth Dimension has a habit, a talent, if you might say, of just making things scrappy. They can make a scramble situation out of nothing, and Fourth Dimension doesn't seem to be winning in those scramble situations that often.
Yeah, we do have a swap coming out from Fourth Dimension, though. Salt is going to be replaced with OIW, also known as the Holy Pig. Which I think is probably a very set play coming in for this next map of Gibraltar. We do see a lot more long-ranged DPS heroes getting played here. Some projectiles we don't see very often. So this could be the Holy Pig's chance to really shine here and get his team back into the game.
Yeah, this is the chance for a swap up. We saw that Fifth Dimension didn't love the long range play. We saw Widowmaker teased for a moment, but they always love to keep it close and personal. The issue with Gibraltar is it's not that easy to do that. Your rotations need to be on point, because just one sloppy rotation means your head is going to be clicked.
Yeah, should be getting ready to get into the map any second now. Gibraltar, I just think, is a really interesting map. It's often played a lot differently than most other maps because there tends to be more high ground to work with than some other payload maps. Not as much ability to get a close hold as you might want on maps like Havana and Rialto, as we just saw, which means teams tend to go more for the high ground push with long-range comps or with the dive comps to try and take control of that high ground. So we see a lot of different stuff, and I'm really excited to see what comps these teams are going to come up with to try and deal with this.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what Fourth Dimension is capable of because you don't get to be the number 1 seed for no reason. I'm expecting to see the versatility. Obviously, don't want to go for the mirror match if you can. Assuming that mirror match is going to be the one comp we've been seeing Fifth Dimension run all day, the Ryan Diva Rush. However, I feel like there are some opportunities right here. I want to see more of this echo play, more of these duplicates come out, and overall, I am curious to see Fifth Dimension's Double Bubble, because this is the one place where, as we keep hammering in because it's so crucial, they can't really run this rush to its greatest effectiveness.
Yeah, Fifth Dimension probably will be forced to go a bit outside of their comfort zone here, which is exactly what Fourth Dimension, I'm sure, is looking for. As we can see, the Holy Pig coming in for Fourth Dimension, taking the place of Salt, and we'll see if these kinds of comps are a bit more comfortable for them. As the first hero selections are coming through now.
There we
go.
I don't think that's going to be what we're going to be seeing. I do expect to see the Roadhog because teams love to just throw the hook out onto that bridge, see if they can catch someone. But the double bubble from Fourth Dimension is what I have my eyes on.
Yeah, the double bubble, fairly traditional. I will say a bit of a lack of a long-range hit scan. If you do like, a lot of teams like having an Ashe or a Widow to really kind of lock down some of these sight lines. Instead, they are opting for the Echo from the Holy Pig. Which can be just as good if she can find a lot of value and a lot of poke. Julo swapping, nope. I've been baited again. He goes back to Monkey, as I should have expected from the start. And we do have a double bubble. But look at this, a bit of a teleporter play coming out from Hydro to help Fifth Dimension take a high ground presence from the very beginning.
Yeah, their entire team manages to get up there, except, of course, for that lone member pushing the cart down there. Taking some spam damage, but it's not that detrimental, as you're not giving up too much ult charge, and MXD is happy to charge off of it, but Julo goes a little too far in. I think Frogadier knocked him down, and once you're separated from your healers, there's no hope from you. But even so, even if you didn't get separated, there's so much burst damage on the side of Fourth Dimension that the solo dive, it's never going to be enough.
Yeah, I mean, Julo tried to get in and get a little bit of maybe some tickling with Winston's Tesla cannon, but got stunned up and taken down instantly. And now here comes the dive again from Julo, and once again he is getting. Oh, he manages to drop down just in time as supports have been traded for supports as this fight really gets underway.
Yeah, a little more healing for the side of Fourth Dimension, especially as the Nano Boost comes online in a moment. Chaos able to find that duplicated Echo though. OI out of the fight already. Opportunity for a slow push right here, but it's stopped. The bottleneck comes through in the form of the Nano Boosted Zarya, already close to full charge anyways. The Nano Monkey is on the ground, of course. Julo happy to receive that. But the solo grab up here, he's going to follow up on Chaos, especially when they're being pocketed. As now Chaos is in a grab. The tables have turned, and it looks like the follow-up is a little cleaner as Sobek falls.
Yeah, I think Chaos thought Ariel. Oh, well, there goes Adrico. I think Chaos thought that Ariel was by themselves, and therefore they would just be able to get a solo grab and pick him off. But no, the Winston was there, the break was there to help sustain, so the grab doesn't end up getting much, and in fact, Ariel's grab was a lot better.
Dividing, I kept seeing. We talked about how the scrappy fights would go Fifth Dimension's way. That fight lasted like 2 minutes. And Fourth Dimension came out on top. That was just monumental awareness on when to use ults, when not to, as now they have a great advantage. Fifth Dimension have almost nothing. The rally is going to protect them from the initial portion of this dive, but Zarya is still going to be separated, as Andre Ko is safe to just fire away, healing their team.
Yeah, Chase Torch getting in the back line here, trying to find some extra kills with the jump back and the Primal Rage. MXD is down. There's going to be no nano boost for Chaos to help heal him up just yet. Fifth Dimension forced back once again. And, I mean, Fourth Dimension look to be in total control of this high ground and this map right now. Fifth Dimension struggling to get any value. Raven really looking to put the nail in the coffin here with this pulse bomb.
Yeah, if you're able to stick a support, that would be huge. The Zarya might not be there with the bubble to block it, as that's a nice grab right there, but you're gonna have to sacrifice your duplicated form to get the kill. Doesn't matter too much though, as you're trading 2 for 2. That favors the defense a little bit more, but Fifth Dimension are still able to wrap around, get the cleanup. Andre Co alone, they get the sleep
Nice
right there, they continue contesting the point, and they actually do end Julo's life as their final act, giving a chance for Fourth Dimension to recontest.
Yeah, Fourth Dimensioner might actually try to recontest here. Braven has been bubbled up, which allows him to get back in. Stunned, but has the recall ready. However, Killa manages to find the kill on to the Zarya on the other side. It's just the Wrecking Ball and the Echo. It's looking like with the players returning, yes, it will. Fifth Dimension, just with a little bit of time left on the clock, they will be able to take point A.
Yeah, Fifth Dimension, looking a little shaky right there, but they buckled their boots. They're getting ready for a continued push, and they have the tools to do it. Taking this high ground immediately, not looking to give it up in this Echo duel. Aquila does get stuck by the stickies. They're gonna have to give it up as the positioning war is being won by Fourth Dimension.
Yeah, I think Fourth Dimension doing a great job of understanding their win condition here. They're trying their best to contest this high ground.
Ooh. Nice play right here, avoiding Kila's damage for the most part as they have to keep retreating back to their team. Kila is not able to play the game as Julo has to take matters into their own hands, try to evict them with the Primal Rage, but they're not... They got sticky fingers on that high ground, holding on tight as Ariel goes in with a bang. The full charge Zarya gets rid of both tanks, and that's the initiator gone. You've got no way to continue the fight without those beefy bodies.
Yeah, I mean, Ariel getting fully charged up in that little spaceship, that is terrifying. There's such a little space, and the laser is so big at that point that, I mean, Ariel barely even has to aim at all to just laser down the members of Fifth Dimension. And now Fourth Dimension have control over this spaceship, this key high ground advantage that Fifth Dimension is going to have to take here. They do have tools. They will have the Nano Boost. They will have the Grab. They'll also have the Pulse Bomb from Hydro. So there is potential here. But what an anti-nade there from Andre Co. Coupled with the Grab. I mean, that fight ended before it began.
And what's even worse is it happened right as Chaos threw out a Grab of their own, which obviously they had no opportunity to punish. So now, yeah, going onto that Diva, looking to get Eats instead on a Braven's Pulse Bomb because that's gotta hurt.
Yeah, I mean, you can also eat the Bionade from Andrico if you're Chaos, which I think is probably key. Wasn't able to eat that one, though. Both supports have been taken down. MXB is down. Sobek also down. The anti-nades from Andrico did so much. There's a remake kill. Holy Pig gets one. Nicely done. And it's looking like this is probably where the cart's going to stop.
Yeah, only 5 seconds left. Hydro might just be able to touch. They're all the way in the back line. Dropping the Pulse Bomb on their way there. A little present. But overtime is the only thing you're going to get. Julo going in with the Primal Rage. Booping everyone off. Making space for their team to approach the point. An opportunity at a recontest right here as Kila goes to this Reaper looking for the burst damage you need in the mid-fight to get rid of these tanks, but the rotation isn't clean enough. They have no way to make a coordinated rotation because who's going to go along with them? As, once again, Andrico uncontested in the backline, providing the healing, the supplies that you need to get this hold out. On the second point of Gibraltar, Fifth Dimension will be halted, as Fourth Dimension have their win condition on lock.
I mean, Fifth Dimension had chances to potentially take this second point. They were going into fights, they had tools, but the anti-nades from Andrico, 2 fights in a row, absolutely saved them. Completely disoriented Fifth Dimension before they could even get themselves into a position to take advantage of their own tools. So, have to give a shout out to Andre. He did an amazing job at the end of that defense. Now, it is Fourth Dimension's turn on the attack, and I'd say they have quite a good chance of tying up the series.
We've seen Fifth Dimension pull out these staggering holds, but it's always been thanks to a front ground hold where they can run their rush composition.
Yeah.
Not going to be committing to that this time. Instead, going to have the Torbjorn to watch the flank. Hydro to try and pop off, try and keep them in check. But overall, Fourth Dimension has looked so much cleaner on this double bubble.
Yeah, Fourth Dimension seem to know what they're doing, and they better have, because they're the ones who chose this map. They seem to understand that they are probably overall better at these sort of divey, brawly, mixed double bubble compositions. They seem to understand the win conditions of this comp just a little bit better.
As the teleporter strat, we're seeing a lot of identical strats from these teams. It's almost like they are from the same coaching staff, as they know exactly how to deal with it as well, just backing up, giving respect to that dominant high ground push. Is now they're looking to catch them out in the rotation, seeing who they can find, trying to run under that bridge. But they can't really poke their heads out as OI, the Holy Pig, layering down destruction. Julo goes out. They're able to find Ariel, but they give their life for it, as now there's no one to watch the back line. Oh, OI goes in and demolishes the health pools that Chase Torch is happy to burn away. Now, the cart is under the bridge. Fourth Dimension looking like they have an opportunity to push, but they're waiting for all members.
Yeah, waiting for all members indeed. Killa on the Torbjorn. What an interesting pick. Trying to, I guess, dissuade Braven on the Tracer. Make sure that he can't get into the back line like he wants. However, the turret is now broken, which means Killa is going to have to get his ult charged the old-fashioned way.
Double Monkey out from Fourth Dimension. A lot of cleave potential right here as they are making them very uncomfortable. Those supports have to use the rally just to stay alive, but they're being battered and bruised. Going to have to survive? They have to, because there's no way you're keeping this hold alive without them. But they weather the storm, and Fifth Dimension are actually able to find Ariel in the end. They're slept on the high ground, of course, but Chase Torch, they're just going in, feeding more ultimate charge. Julo goes down early, as has been the pattern, but it doesn't really matter. At this point, Fifth Dimension managed to hold after all that.
Yeah, Chaos with a clutch grab, able to find Ariel and melt them down, which was massive. Without the Zarya the Zarya in this comp is a huge giver of that close range damage. Without it, you just don't have the damage to contest with the other team.
And now, Fifth Dimension having come alive, they're looking to extend that lead. As with the rally, they're able to just push in. Sobek is just keeping everyone alive as MXD is already up to almost another nano boost. Killa on this Torbjorn has also been surprisingly effective at just making sure OI doesn't know where is a safe position.
MXD finding the early pick onto Andreyko is absolutely massive. Without the Ana healing, MXD is able to take the lead on a nano boost charge and able to out-heal a Fourth Dimension, which means that now Fifth Dimension will have the nano boost first. As all of a sudden, Fourth Dimension have a minute left and are at serious risk of going down 0-2 to the team that they beat earlier today.
Yeah, the slow methodical push results in the Torbjorn turret going down early, but the Molten Core prevents a lot of the follow-up right there on Ariel's grab and actually gets some damage of their own. A nice pulse bomb right there into Sobek. That's healing out of the picture, but you need more than that. You need those sticky bombs taking out Killa as Julo falls as well. Trapped between a pincer of two beams. Fifth Dimension, they're on their last legs of this push. They need to get this rally online if they want to have the armor up in order to keep this hold alive, because you want to get the full hold. You don't want to let them onto that second point, but with the waves surging into the control room, I don't know if they're going to be able to survive. No, I don't think so, Dividing, as it's full stall mode now. Only a couple seconds left, but who's going to get the kills to wipe off Fourth Dimension from the point? Nobody, that's who. As Fifth Dimension crumble in the end and Fourth Dimension get their shot at the second point.
Yeah, beautiful stuff from Fourth Dimension. I'm sure the comms there were chaotic as the Grav Molten Core combo came in to start off the fight. But great job from Fourth Dimension. They managed to stay together, stay focused, and pick off Fifth Dimension one by one in the server room. Great stuff, especially from OI, who opened up the fight with a duplicated Tracer Pulse Bomb. But now Sobek has something to say. He's using the Rally.
Yeah, Rally and Primal Rage up in that high ground is making this little ship quite the dangerous little place for the rest of the team. Fifth Dimension, though, able to escape without any casualties as the double monkeys are now harassing them. The Nano Boosted Torbjorn gives them the way out the door, though, as OI batters up Keela before they're able to get the Molten Core online. Trading 1-for-1 right now, but Fifth Dimension are having this high ground hold extended. They need to get on the ground soon, though, because they didn't get the cart all the way through. They can't let the cart get to the end of this second point. And as these 2 kills come out on the high ground, that's a lot of the damage out of the picture for Fifth Dimension. Where they're going to get the kills now? They're just throwing themselves on the point, and the Brig, once thought to be immortal, falls on the cart. As Fourth Dimension tie up this losers finals 1-1. They are not giving up that contender's trial spot that easily.
Absolutely not. Fourth Dimension chose this map and they knew how they wanted to play it. Some beautiful stuff here as we see Ariel with this sneaky little grab. This is the one that led into the Audrey Co. Anti-nade. Beautiful stuff. I mean, Fifth Dimension had no chance of surviving through that. But yeah, Fourth Dimension, I think they understood what they wanted to do with that map a little bit better. And while Fifth Dimension were able to put up a good fight on their point A defense, they were eventually able to break through. They understood the win conditions of the map a little bit better while they were while Fourth Dimension and Fifth Dimension were sort of scuffling on the high ground. You had Braven and Ariel, I think, just slowly moving the cart closer and closer and closer to the golden box of victory until Fifth Dimension were finally forced to respond, and they were picked off one by one as they tried to contest.
Yeah, the first point looked immaculate from Fifth Dimension, but once they got the fight started in that plane spaceship thing in the watch point high ground, that's when it all went downhill, because they invested like every ultimate into that fight for a minute and a half, just swinging away at each other in that tiny room, and no one died on either side. Meanwhile, like you said, Fourth Dimension was happy to invest all that, get all the resources out of the way, because then they had Fifth Dimension in a very uncomfortable position towards the back of the second point. It was only a matter of time before one group of sticky bombs landed home, gave them the opening, the crack in the wall that they needed to pry their way into a victory.
Yeah, next map coming up is once again going to be Kings Row. Both these teams love this map. Fifth Dimension's pick, they love this map too. It's what got them the finishing blow onto Project W to get them into this losers finals. I think Fifth Dimension are very confident in their Brawl cons, and they're very confident on Kings Row in particular.
And we'll see if that continues, as Fifth Dimension, it took them a little bit to get their legs with the double bubble, but once they did, they looked like an even match for Fourth Dimension for the most part. I mean, they more or less did what Fourth Dimension did to them, just a little bit worse. So if they're just able to be a little bit better on their composition of choice, I have a good feeling about Fifth Dimension going into Kings Row, but after just seeing them win like they did, it's easy to have that overconfidence.
Yeah, a little bit. Of course, I'm sure there's quite a bit of mind games going on between both of these teams right now. Coming from the same org, they're probably quite familiar with each other and their tactics and what they want to run on certain maps and certain points. It's very interesting to watch these two teams go up against each other, because it just feels like constant mind games and constant counterplays coming out.
Mm-hmm. And we'll see if these identical strategies, so alike in some ways, but so different in others, come to blows here in a different way, as we have an idea of what we want to see from Fourth Dimension. As, well, come on. It has been their bread and butter, but Fourth Dimension, do they have anything new for the table? Do they have any player-specific strats? Doesn't look like it, as they want to stick with this game plan.
Yeah, mirror match coming out from both sides. I'm not surprised in the slightest. This is what you see on Kings Row, the sort of tight corridors, limited space above. These Brawl comps really thrive in this kind of environment. So why wouldn't you just do what's meta and what is objectively the best here with a trial spot on the line?
Why wouldn't you indeed? That is the question you have to ask again and again and again, as teams do often choose to switch things up in the last moments. But if these teams are evenly matched, I think it's all gonna come down to the gameplay. I have my eyes on the maze. Hydro and OI, the Holy Pig. They are the initiators, as funny as it seems for a character that was once characterized as defense. Because if you're able to get that wall, get that isolation, the collapse is crucial. As right there, they're not quite able to isolate. Julo gonna retreat behind the safety of that wall. There was a little gap that they got through, as both walls are committed. Boom! From across the map, downtown. OI takes out Gila, and now, without that McCree, you don't have to worry about the brawl anymore. The Rhine isn't worried about being stunned in the slightest, but Julo does fire back. Fires back with a pick onto that main tank, but they gave their life for it. They went so low, swinging away right there, and now it's more or less all cleanup for Fourth Dimension. A chance at a recontest, but it's really just a chance, as they've gotten rid of Chaos. No surprise kills right there. Just going for a full, better hold on the second point, Fifth Dimension.
Yeah, Fifth Dimension messed up their first walls, weren't able really to get any isolating kills, and because of that, they decided to back up behind the hotel. But unfortunately, when you do that, you're ceding so much space over to the other team, giving them so many sight lines to potentially get picks, and OI, the Holy Pig, he's able to capitalize, get the pick on to Killa, which is massive. Both amplification matrices now coming out from both sides.
Nice angle on the side of Fifth Dimension, gives them a little more use of it, but they have to back around the corner regardless. The firepower was just too much. Now Fourth Dimension do have both DPS ultimates on lock, as Braven is the first to fire off. Going to connect before the sound barrier hits. Right there. Faster than the speed of sound, ripping through with a sonic boom, as Braven gets a third kill under their belt for good measure. Fourth Dimension continuing their push.
Fourth Dimension look absolutely unstoppable right now. They got the first fight win and have been snowballing ever since with the ultimates. They've just been getting them faster, using them better. As Fifth Dimension, I mean, they don't even have any support ults right now to face this barrage that Fourth Dimension is bringing out at them.
And now, speaking of bringing out, they're bringing out the Blizzard very early on, and they catch Hydra with it, not able to ice block away. No real utility from Hydra's Blizzard either. Was it canceled? I'm not sure. But either way, the Shatter is going to cancel Fifth Dimension's chances at a hold right here, as they have no way to protect themselves while they're lying on the ground. Face to the sky right there, as Fifth Dimension, they are looking a little shaky.
Yeah, Fifth Dimension committing ults without really much plan as to how and why they're going to commit them and what they're going to try and get out of them. Fifth Dimension, I think, committed more ultimates to that fight than Fourth Dimension did, but they still came out on top. But here comes the quick recontest. If there's one thing we've learned about Fifth Dimension, they never say die.
Trading 1-for-1 right here, and I think that Andre Co is a little more valuable without the Batiste in play. You need to get aggressive. You know you don't have the healing, so you need to take away the health from the enemy team before they can get theirs. And getting rid of the shield, that is crucial. Spawn advantage coming into play now with 4 minutes and 30 seconds left. You need to get the hold right here and now. The stall is not enough. You need to get a full fight win, but we're not getting anything from the high noon. It's not a good start, so Beck, the chances lie with them. That is the ult advantage that they have with the sound barrier. As Fourth Dimension are about to push out, they're looking for their opportunity, just trading fire strikes, waiting for their chance to use ultimates, and now the initiator happens. Going out with the sound barrier, they don't have to worry at all about just wailing away at that enemy Reinhardt, but the ice block prevents the majority of the follow-up. It took a while, a lot of resources to get that win, but thanks to the Blizzard, the cleanup does come out.
Yeah, an expensive fight for Fifth Dimension, but better to potentially over-invest in a fight than to lose. King's Row with 4 minutes left on the clock, you just cannot have that happen. So Fifth Dimension absolutely justified in their usage of ultimates there. And now they have a chance here. They have gotten a hold in a spot where they will have spawn advantage. So it's going to take a very clean fight win for Fourth Dimension in order to keep this spawn point moving. And already, I mean, that's like a full minute that has been just kind of wasted as Fifth Dimension continue to use ultimates to keep Fourth Dimension away.
Fourth Dimension now, they have that Blizzard that we've seen the Holy Pig get a lot of value on in the past. Using it now, not gonna, oh! Chaos does get it in the end, catching it right before it gets to the ground, hiding off to the sidelines. An opportunity right here as the Immortality Field does go down on the side of Fourth Dimension. Fifth Dimension, they want to keep this hold going for as long as possible. That sound barrier from the high ground is going to catch everyone. Fourth Dimension have a nice little bit of padding to get aggressive as they use that ability to get rid of Julo. Sebek isn't able to avoid the high noon either. Right now, Fourth Dimension, an opportunity to finish the map. The stall, I don't know if it's enough right here as the self-destruct isn't going to catch anyone. Just left out in the open like that, hanging to dry. As with 2 minutes and 27 seconds, Fourth Dimension are in fact able to finish King's Row.
Yeah, Fourth Dimension. I mean, it was a great start to the fight for Fifth Dimension with Chaos eating the Blizzard. However, Fourth Dimension did not lose focus. They did not just give up on the fight right there. Even though Fifth Dimension got a pick or two, they used both support ultimates, rushed back into the fight, and I don't think Fifth Dimension was expecting that. They got absolutely ran over by the sudden aggression from their sister team in Fourth Dimension. I think we're seeing this really aggressive never say die playstyle coming out from both of these teams, and it is absolutely fascinating to watch them interact with each other, especially on this brawl heavy map.
It certainly is dividing as now. I don't think we're going to be seeing a stick to this. This is just looking for an instant pick and then swapping away. As Fifth Dimension, they want to just clean up their gameplay. They've relied on their attack before. The issue is, when they were playing against Project W, they didn't even finish the map. Now they have to go against an arguably better team and do better than they did in the previous series. So here is the question. The scoreline was 3-1 last time. Will Fifth Dimension let it be that again? Or will they find a way to turn it around, get their 2 points on the board, and set themselves forward towards a contender's trial spot?
It all starts right here for Fifth Dimension as they look to set a nice attack time, potentially a better one than their sister team at Fourth Dimension. Fourth Dimension definitely set quite the high bar. They do just barely all manage to get into the hotel. No one cut off, which means they get to take presence on the point.
Yeah, just a nice clean rotation around that wall right there. Not letting it catch you out, as they're already starting to get their percentage. Already starting to try and avoid a full hold, but not quite. As the walls come off cooldown and they immediately make the battlefield that much more chaotic. As it will result in Aerial being demexed, but MXD falling might be a little more detrimental. No healing at all for the side of Fifth Dimension. The Lucio is just speeding them out as they are just taking a breather, waiting for a cleaner fight here on the first point of King's Row.
Yeah, a little bit unfortunate losing MXD so early. Having the first pick being the Baptiste is just brutal for these brawl comps.
It certainly is, as Keela gets the trade right there. Frogadier avenges their fallen comrade. But it doesn't matter too much, as now, Fifth Dimension, they have the opportunity. The Shatter is online. If you're able to get the shield down, yep, there it is. But the Blizzard comes out to prevent a lot of the follow-up right there, as they don't have to really worry about protecting their team. Now, Blizzard opposing, but the speed boost gets them out of there. All it does is buy them space, as Keela is on the Doomfist. Going up to the high ground. Oh man, Fifth Dimension really committed to that fight, and I'm not sure it's paying off.
Andreyko was the hidden hero in that fight. He found a place on the high ground behind Fifth Dimension and just was able to rain down healing as Aerial. Beautiful bomb. But he was able to rain down healing from his high ground position and keep the May alive, keep the Lucio alive. No one on Fifth Dimension noticed him up there until it was entirely too late.
And right here, in my mind dividing, this is coming down to stamina. Fourth Dimension, they ran through the winner's bracket, and that means they had to play a couple less games in Fifth Dimension. And obviously, I think Fourth Dimension is proving themselves to be a bit of the better team at this moment. But Fifth Dimension, they had to work so hard to get here. Now it's starting to take their toll. They're starting to look a little less polished than before. And the unrusting, it's not going to be pretty. It's now they're looking to get their last few fights under their belt, but they don't have really anything to swing at while the sound barrier is online. Julo gets frozen, tries to turn away, tries to block the shield, but they're able to get the opening that they need. Hyro finishing off the Mei means no wall, means they can get as really as they please. Fifth Dimension now, with a minute left, they get the opportunity to go onto the streets phase, trying to set a better time than Fourth Dimension.
Yeah, we saw some really nice Ryan play there coming out from Julo. I was actually really impressed with the way that he was able to deal with the Mei, trying to freeze him up, deal with everyone trying to boop him around. He was able to stay with his team, keep holding up that big protective rectangle, as you should as Reinhardt, and still manages to get the shatter block, crucial shatter block from Chase Torch. Very impressive stuff from him.
Well, Braven, the signature Brave High Noon right there, speed boosting right out into enemy lines, but the D Matrix was there to keep them alive.
Oh
now,
my gosh.
The Blizzard, eaten by Chaos once again. They are hungry for it. Since the first game they've been online, they have been constantly eating these ultimates. Is now coming alive. Keela finishes off the main tank in the low ground, but it's not a one fight just yet. These squishies are still alive and they're kicking. Mei in the corner, still dangerous, still a threat. As Fifth mentioned, now need to finish them off if they want to continue, but the Blizzard only buys space, no kills for them.
I mean, I have to go back to the Blizzardy, OI, the Holy Pig, put up a wall and thought he was safe to use the Blizzard, but no, Chaos flew over the wall as Diva right into his face and ate the grab for him. It was, I'm a bit of an off-tank aficionado myself, and I loved that play.
Oh, nice stuff right there
Killa.
coming out from Chaos, and we'll see if they're able to do it again here, as now they do have to worry about this. But Killa, you know, if you're killing the enemy faster than they can use their abilities, do you even need a Diva to eat the bomb? Or it's not even necessary.
The flank McCree, it comes out when you're least expecting it, and it hits hard. He gets around to the back, picks off MXD, picks off everyone with the High Noon. I mean, that was just Keela popping off there at Fifth Dimension. They have gotten themselves into the third point.
Now blocked off, walled into this tiny little corner artificially, as OI gets a massive blizzard, but it doesn't land on the ground. Chaos says, no, you're not allowed to play the game. Braven is, though, as they finish off their McCree counterpart. Now, they have the opportunity to get the hold going. There's already less time for Fifth Dimension than Fourth Dimension have in total, but they still have an opportunity to finish the map after that shatter lands. Julo saw that Chase Torch had went down, and it was their opportunity to press the Q button. As they get the cleanup now, they're gonna get the chance to round the first corner, but that was a long fight. Fourth Dimension, they're gonna get the chance to recontest.
I mean, if Fifth Dimension doesn't win this, it can't be discounted the effort of Chaos here. I don't think that OI has gotten a single Blizzard on the ground so far in this Fifth Dimension attack. He is on lock when it comes to these Blizzard eats, and I love it. I love it. It's so good.
Yeah, but that's just one component. You need to find more than that. There's only a minute 30 left. That's 2 fights if you're lucky. And Keela looking to win it right here and now with immediately taking out the Lucio. Going up onto the high ground, off of the wall to try and finish them off. But the self-destruct means they can't get too aggressive with their punish. They still manage to isolate Chase Torch though. As now, this is the Blizzard coming out. Do they get the eat? No! Oh, I finally gets one on the ground just when they needed it most. Both tanks caught. And the sound barrier is burned away from them. But the immortality field keeps them alive. And the amplification matrix lets them both get healed up so fast. Right as they needed to the most. Trying to use that field to clean up that Mei in the back line, and they're able to finish before overtime. Fifth Dimension off of that play at the end, off of MXD, healing everyone from the back line. They're able to get 3 points on the board. Keep King's Row alive.
King's Row is not over by any means. Fifth Dimension absolutely coming up clutch, whether it was Chaos, whether it was Keela. I mean, I That was incredible. That was an incredible individual performance from teams like Fifth Dimension, and that's why you pick these players. They're able to individually pop off maybe when the teamwork isn't quite as on point as Fourth Dimensions is. You can get Keela just going across in the backline and killing 4, or Chaos eating 3 blizzards over the course of that defense. Or no, wait, I think he ate 2 and he ate 1 on the defense. Whatever. He's eaten 3 blizzards this map, which is insane.
Yep, as Fourth Dimension. Obviously, they have to hope that Chaos is getting full at this point, but their appetite seems never-ending. Even at the pubs, they're just going non-stop here in King's Row. Is now, Fifth Dimension, they got held up on point A for a long time before. They need to clean it up in here and now if they want to stay in this series.
Yeah, took Fifth Dimension, I'd say like 3 or so minutes to get themselves finally to break through point A. They need to get it now, right here, in order to get themselves a fighting chance to go up in the series. They're gonna go for a bit of a high ground push here.
Looking to jump right across, using the speed boost, but some end up on the low ground, so it's going to be a long rotation anyways. Fourth Dimension knows exactly what's coming at them. With this long rotation, they're committing to exactly one fight, so it has to be clean. You need to be looking for these splits. And with D.Va in the back line, it is going to be tough. It's a distraction play. When they look behind them, the wall comes out, but they weather the storm for now. The blizzard not going to be that icy weather that they're looking for, as Fourth Dimension aren't able to find the initial pick quite yet. Both Immortality Fields committed, so there's no second chances here as Keela does go down early. MXD, it's up to them. We've talked about these supports in the past. It's their opportunity now to clutch. As with this Ant Matrix, they're able to DMAX the D.Va, but not before Sobek falls. OY redeeming themselves without the blizzard, as it does get eaten by Chaos, but that's a pittance. Doesn't really matter when the rest of your team has fallen. The Immortality Field keeps the D.Va alive for a moment, but over time isn't enough for Chaos, as they are going to start expiring now. No chance in this fight left, as the Shatter prevents any further stall. Fifth Dimension full health. They can only hope for a draw now.
Can only hope for a draw. I just can't get past Chaos in the middle of all of that. In the middle of all that, I mean, for no pun intended, chaos. As the fight was getting so scrappy, his teammates were falling around him, Chaos was like, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and take a 4th blizzard, thank you. I mean, as far as that individual matchup, Chaos absolutely destroying the Holy Pig. However, like you've mentioned, that is only one component of the fight, and Keela got caught out, I think maybe going for a little bit of an over-eager flank, got taken out early. The damage from the McCree is of course crucial in these fights. You just can't lose someone that early, especially when they're meant to be doing so much damage. So Fifth Dimension end up going down eventually. But I mean, Chaos definitely a standout player on this map.
Certainly is, but you're gonna need to be a lot more standout, because the issue with these larger time banks is you have an opportunity to build up an ultimate push. That is the game plan of Fourth Dimension, assuming they don't just crush Fifth Dimension right out the gate. So when those ultimates come out, in order to keep an advantage economy, Chaos needs to stay on point with eating these ultimates.
Yeah, now it is Fourth Dimension trying to take the lead in this series 2-1. And a nice little wall there from OI to get things started. Hydro is forced to use his ice block very early, as both teams just kind of sizing each other up. And here comes Fourth Dimension, they're making the push.
Yep, they're on the point already. The wall splits them off, but they're booped away. Not going to get the opportunity to punish, as Julo needs the Immortality Field to stay alive right here. D-Matrix committed onto them, but someone needs to stay on the point. It's not going to be the Reinhardt for now, as they try and pop out, get that one-shot fire strike, but it's not going to connect. Instead, it is going to be the continued dominance of Fourth Dimension upon the point through that amplification matrix. Braven is a deadly sniper. One shot after one shot with these double damage headshots is all Fourth Dimension needs to get their 2 points on the board. Put themselves at match point for getting their Contenders Trials spot.
Yeah, as we see right now, this play of the game from Julo seems to be right after he used a shatter, just getting into the team, swinging away. I think Fifth Dimension had a lot of really great individual performances in that map. However, when it came to the 6v6 Brawl v Brawl fights where there weren't many shenanigans going on, Fourth Dimension pretty consistently came out on top. The team play was more on point from them.
It was frankly fantastic stuff. Fourth Dimension showing that they are not a one-trick pony, which you can't be that by getting this far. They are the dominant team. They're the original, and they're not going to get replaced by any Fifth Dimension scrubs. But I wouldn't say that quite yet, because Fifth Dimension still have one more map, and we've seen them make miracles out of nothing. We've seen them win unwinnable fights, and we'll see if they're able to continue doing that right after this quick break, where we will decide the winner of the losers finals.
Trial spot on the line. You better not miss it. We'll see you in a minute.
Welcome back, everybody, to the losers finals of the EMEA Open Division Championship. Is right now, the fourth dimension. The original team is leading by 2 points to 1 over fifth dimension. Last time they played, it was a 3-1 victory. Fourth dimension obviously wants to close this out here and now, because if you let this slip through your fingers, you are into uncharted waters.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a classic case of sibling rivalry right now. For the second time today, Fourth Dimension trying to put their little sibling in the dirt once and for all. But Fifth Dimension has had some fantastic individual performances coming into this game, and I think they are trying to prove that they're just as good, if not better, than these so-called originals.
But we gotta talk about what makes these originals so good, because, oh my word, the amount of talent that has come out from players like Braven to constantly be clutching out fights, it's unreal. The fact that it feels like Fourth Dimension just doesn't lose when they want to, even when they're at a disadvantage, even when players like Chaos are coming out and eating every single blizzard that gets dropped onto the face of the earth. It still isn't enough, because in the amount of neutral interactions they have, it's always coming down to they're just winning.
Yeah, they just come up clutch, they stick together, they keep the communications up, and even when things look grim, Fourth Dimension have been finding ways to come out on top. Now, with their tournament lives on the line, they've decided to go with Volskaya, Fifth Dimension has, which tends to be a fairly brawly map. I'm not surprised that Fifth Dimension picked this map. Let's just say that.
You like to see the Rhine here. There are some high ground domination strats. You get the double bubble up there, harass them without ever putting yourselves in harm's way. But it does obviously give you an opportunity to continue the brawl. The issue is, the brawl isn't the answer. This isn't a case of, oh, this player is bad at this thing. It's ultimately going to come down to individual play, because they've shown they can match each other on their individual strats. They have shown that the double bubble is within their grasp. They've shown that the brawl is within Fifth Dimension's grasp. The question is, which one are you going to go with on Volskaya?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we've seen over the course of this match, Fourth Dimension has all kinds of tools and comps at their disposal that they can pull off. Fifth Dimension, a little bit less so. They seem to struggle on most comps that don't fall under that sort of brawl rush umbrella, which is why, of course, you go Volskaya, where both on point A and point B, these brawl and rush comps are very, very viable. But, Fourth Dimension, if King's Row is anything to go off of, they're totally fine with taking that mirror.
Yeah. I feel like what it ultimately does sometimes come down to is the fact that Fourth Dimension is winning the fights without ultimates involved. And that is always a crucial character trait, because that means you're just usually ahead in the economy when you're doing more damage, getting more kills, killing the healers before they can heal up off of your damage. That is what keeps you ahead in economies. Fifth Dimension, they need to find a way to win those neutral fights or get more value off of their ultimates, because ultimately, they haven't been the most fight-turning things most of the time. Of course, you occasionally have your flanking Keela dead eyes, but for the most part, it has been these neutral fights, these even fights, that Fourth Dimension has been getting their edge in.
Yeah, when Fourth Dimension and Fifth Dimension clash in a 6v6, not really any huge shenanigans going on, just a classic brawl v brawl matchup. It tends to be Fourth Dimension able to capitalize on Fifth Dimension's mistakes more often. Now, as we move into Volskaya here, Fifth Dimension will be on the defense first, and interestingly, they're locking in a double bubble comp.
That is going to be odd. I mean, we do got to remember, these two teams have, I believe, the same coaching staff. So they know that this is what their organization likes to be run on Volskaya. The key difference comes down to what we saw on Rialto a game ago. that Fifth Dimension, they want to stick with this Tracer McCree, while the Tracer Echo is the choice of the Fourth Dimension.
Yeah, this matchup between the Echo Fourth Dimension OI, the Holy Pig, and Fifth Dimension's McCree Keela will be key as this fight unfolds here. Will OI be able to get the value out of that Echo Poke damage before he gets taken down by one of the hit scans of Fifth Dimension?
That is the question, certainly, as the bubbles are already committed from Fourth Dimension and they're instantly burst away. Charge for Aerial, certainly, but it definitely does halt the push, as now Julo is under fire, playing it carefully, trying not to use too many of the resources too fast, as they do jump away to safety, giving up that space to the side of Fourth Dimension to push in.
Yeah, as Fourth Dimension now ceding space over, as OI, we see, has plenty of room to work and get some poke damage onto the squishier members of Fifth Dimension. However, here comes the jump once again from Julo, just barely manages to get out, and in fact, it's actually Keela who finds the kill onto the Winston of the other side. Chase Torch out of the fight, and with that, Fifth Dimension, I think, have won this first engagement.
Dimension now going to be playing this high ground carefully. They see an Echo, but they can't challenge it too much. I like the conservative play, letting them approach, because when you approach, you give more opportunities to make mistakes. As now, going in with this nano boost, Chaos looking to get the cleanup on their own grab, but the bubble is in the way, the double bubble, triple bubble in fact, as the duplicated Winston comes out from OI. It does not enough though, as Hydro is able to get that stick onto Chase Torch, and Keela is getting the grab cleanup as well. Hydro just making sure the consistent chip damage is there to help the rest of their team finish off these juicy targets.
What I wanted to see more from Keela. I mean, he's went for a lot of flanks on King's Row, and, you know, sometimes it paid off, so he got that nice little 4K when he flanked around to the side. More often than not, though, Fourth Dimension were smart to it. They were able to pick him off and win fights from there. This time, Keela stayed with his team. He pushed up with his tanks, and because of that, he had their protection as he just got that consistent damage into the front line of Fourth Dimension. And that's half the time gone.
Keela gets the finisher onto Chase Torch right there, so even with the grab, the cleave damage isn't quite there to finish it off, as Keela is delivered a present by their main tank friend, but is it enough? They only have 2 kills as opposed to the 3 that Fourth Dimension have pulled out. They need to isolate this Echo in the back. They do. A chance for a recontest right here if they're able to finish off the Tracer. Hydro, though, is the last person holding this point down, as from downtown, there is that stick. Oh! But Targeteer goes down too, unwilling to give up. This is the Fifth Dimension we know and love, but eventually you do have to call it, as Fourth Dimension sits on the point dominant. And they will be going into the second point with a significant bit of time.
Yeah, you can't be upset though at that hold if you are Fifth Dimension. You held Fourth Dimension off for a solid 3 minutes here. And took a lot of time off the bank as we go into the point B attack. Neither team really has much to work with. We'll have nano boosts from both sides, and it's looking like OI will be able to use his duplicate. But other than that, we won't be seeing much. Julo antied and down.
Yeah, that's a crucial first pick right there. A lot of resources have been poured out right now from Fifth Dimension, but will it be enough? They have the nano boost, keeping Chaos alive, keeping them durable as they hold down the fort for now. Duplicate taken out right now. OI not going to get the value from that as they both get stunned. The grab onto the low ground holds those divers in place, and not a lot of resources to protect them either. Everything was already burned in the initiation. And that means Fifth Dimension get a little bit of breathing room with a minute off the clock.
Yeah, Julo gets picked off early, but Fifth Dimension does an incredible job of sort of kiting around Fourth Dimension, making sure that they can't push in on that pick as much as they wanted to. And then Julo comes back. They commit the grab, Chaos does. The anti-nade from MXD lands, and that's the fight.
And we're going to have to see if they're able to avoid that right now. MXD need another big anti-nade because they are a little bit down. If you can win this fight without ults, then you're kind of setting yourself up for a win. As Braven now from the low ground is going to be dueling out with their opposing Tracer, but Hydro gets the edge, has to force Braven to retreat. Ooh, trying to get these picks right here, but they can't quite do it. Hydro sees that Tracer hiding from the McCree and says, okay, you can't leave, so I'm going to take you out with a one-clip.
Yeah, and all it took was the high noon right now from Fifth Dimension. They're being very smart about these ultimates. They know they don't need it, so they're not going to use it. And this leads us to a point where there's 2 minutes left on the clock, and Fifth Dimension is going to have everything except for the high noon they just used. And this could last them till the end of the time bank if they use it right, but aggressive usage from Fourth Dimension, now they're in trouble.
Ooh, a nice start right there, though. Even though the rally is online, you've taken away a lot of the sustainability of this push from Fourth Dimension by getting rid of the Ana. Still 3 picks, though. Fifth Dimension, we've seen their stall potential before. Can they do it again, especially with Chaos's grab coming online and no way to eat it? Going to go for the punish right here. The rally is already expired, but they're not able to quite secure the kills before a grab of aerials catches the back line, finishing them off. Burning right through them with that industrial laser. It's in its home turf right here, and it's doing work. As a tick on the board already, it's going to be Julo coming out on this wrecking ball. The body block does prevent the efficient rollout, but it still isn't enough to buy much more than a couple seconds right there. As now, Chaos is the next one to tag in. Going to survive in their mech form for just an instant, long enough for people to get back. But at this point, Ana is back on the field, and you don't have an Ana of your own. Andre Co on the Lucio is going to give all the healing, all the speed that you could ever want. As slowly but surely they force their way through. 38 seconds left. A great hold overall from Fifth Dimension, getting so much time off the clock. But Fourth Dimension even finishing is a worrying omen for things to come.
Yeah, I do have to give a shout out to Fifth Dimension. We saw it a lot in the first game against Project W. These guys are masters at the stagger. They managed to get seconds and percentage points off the clock where they really shouldn't, because they're just so good at tagging in on the point when all seems lost. Fourth Dimension won that fight when there was over a minute still on the clock. Fifth Dimension were able to whittle that down to under 40 seconds. That being said, now Fifth Dimension is going to have to return fire and complete the map if they want to stay alive in this series. And now in a defensive situation, Fourth Dimension, I think, are feeling pretty good about where they are.
It's an interesting mix-up right here. I'm not sure if they're going to stick with this, but the Sombra could throw a wrench in the plans. But for now, we can stick to talking about Fourth Dimension and the way they utilize this composition.
Yeah, they do a lot of really good work, Chase Torch and Aerial. With this tank line, Chase Torch jumps forward, buying space for Aerial to push up with him. They manage to use that Zarya beam and, of course, OI on the Echo above to get most of their damage. And Fifth Dimension is going to stick on this dive comp coming out. Julo and Chaos on the dive tanks, Monkey and Diva. Hydro has locked the Sombra, which is a very interesting mix-up in such a key moment in the series.
A lot of mobile characters who, if they were suddenly deprived of their movement abilities, could be very detrimental to them. So we'll see if they're able to catch out that Winston if they can get that early pick. The Summer on the high ground harasses Ana, gets him a little distracted, but Andre Co is right back to healing their team as soon as they can, but Keela is able to get the finishing blow. Trading 1-for-1 right now, as Chaos going down is crucial. I mean, come on, we've seen Chaos clutch out fights in the past, but it's not going to be quite enough, as the remnants of Fifth Dimension were scattered all around Volskaya, and it was only a matter of finding them for the rest of Fourth Dimension.
Okay, but for Key, Andre Co went down in that fight, which means there's going to be a short period of time. I mean, Ana is not very fast, so there's going to be a short period of time where Fifth Dimension can take a quick fight and potentially have a 5v6 before Andre Co is ready for them.
And they're trying to do that now, but the kills were so staggered before. It's only a 4-person dive right here as they try and take the high ground, but the bubble is already burned away. Julo doesn't have the Primal Rage, so they have to give up the high ground. And Sobek is already down. The back line is not protected at all. The beams are going straight through the defenses of Fifth Dimension.
Yeah, the rally there from Frogadier was so important for Fourth Dimension in order to sustain through the dive. Fifth Dimension have been stuffed so far. However, Now, I think, is the time that we need to see this comp come to fruition. They will have the Primal, they will have the Pulse Bomb, they have the Coalescence. Hydro is coming up on that all-important EMP.
And with the amount of ultimates available to Fourth Dimension, you need to win the fight off of the EMP while they can't use those ultimates. Let them have them on the second point. You need to get through now, because trying to bait them out, it's a recipe for disaster. As it's hard to whiff a grab. Obviously, Chaos is looking to eat it. You know that they love that little bit of They put the grab on the ground right here to try and punish them running in to eat the grab. But now the EMP catches just one, just Chase Torch. You need to win off of this one ult now, as Ariel's grab didn't get a lot. There wasn't a lot of follow-up up there thanks to the EMP as well. The Coalescence, the last chance for a recontest right here. Fifth Dimension, they look on the front foot, especially as Frogadier goes down. There's no healing at all for the side of Fourth Dimension, as off of a heavy commitment, Fifth Dimension is able to get through with the same time bank that Fourth Dimension had.
Yeah, I mean, this is pretty much a repeat as far as time goes so far. The solo EMP from Hydro is always a huge risk because you are betting that, one, your team will be able to finish off the one player you EMP'd, and if it's a monkey that just jumped, it's very risky in itself. And then you're hoping that your team will be able to get the fight win off of that even after other teams' ultimates. Luckily, Fifth Dimension were just barely able to pull through and keep their tournament lives alive for at least another 3 minutes and 30 seconds.
Especially as the early dive right here. Ariel coming in, gets rid of MXD. And now we've got to take a look at these support lines, because it's similar DPS, besides the Sombra. But the Lucio, Moira versus the Brig Ana. How do you feel about that dividing?
Well, I mean, Fifth Dimension's DPS are definitely, supports are definitely designed to embolden the tanks, make sure that they have the healing and the speed to make sure they can engage on the Fourth Dimension DPS. And here we go, we see it right here as Hydro manages to find Braven and get the EMP off. Now we see these aggressive support line from Fifth Dimension. We see where they truly shine.
Ooh, getting the Pulse Bomb onto the Raging Monkey, not gonna kill him. Get rid of a lot of their potential as a tank though, as they are still gonna survive, get the healing that they need, and this isn't a clean fight win by any measure. Fifth Dimension isn't even able to get a tick before the bomb is laid onto the point, forcing them all to scatter. If they're able to survive this scatter, they might get in there, but Chaos has lost their mech. Not gonna be any eats coming out here. The Pulse Bomb not anywhere close anyways, but Andre Co, I don't even think they're going to need to use the nano boost, as they were able to survive the pressure that Fifth Dimension was putting on and hold true. Now 2 minutes left for Fifth Dimension.
Okay, so Fifth Dimension got the early pick, used the EMP. They were not able to finish it off. However, Hydro has built another EMP off of that fight. Is Fourth Dimension expecting this? Are they expecting a second EMP in 2 fights from Hydro? Because if not, this could be the surprise that Fifth Dimension need to finally break through.
As everyone dives in, but the EMP isn't committed. It's in the backline instead. They're able to get the Pulse Bomb to Andre Co, but is it enough? They need to get rid of the rest of them, as OI is surviving thanks to that focusing beam. Kill after kill coming out, but MXD does fall. Sustainability gone from the side of Fifth Dimension. You can see they're struggling to get healed up as the bomb just buys space. They're able to get their one take on the board, but you need more than that. It's 2-1. If you don't finish this point, then you are out of Open Division. As Chase Torch finishes off the stragglers, all of that investment for just 1 tick right there.
You wanted more of your Fifth Dimension. Nice little, nice aggressive push coming out from Fourth Dimension to start. They were able to make sure that Fifth Dimension didn't have time to set up the EMP that they wanted. And while the EMP was good, I think Fourth Dimension's aggression put them off of their game and allowed them to sustain through it. So now, coming into what is likely the final fight of this attack, Fifth Dimension will have pretty much just the Primal Rage and the Beat to work with.
Yeah, it's gonna have to be big. Julo needs to isolate one of these supports, make sure Andre Co can't play the game, as the rally makes it so hard to dive that backline. Sound barrier catches everyone, is a good start, as Hydro is doing so much damage, 70% already to another EMP, but will it be enough? Will they get there in time? As the duplicated bomb goes into the backline, buying a lot of space, as they get the duplicated drop down mech kill onto Sobek. And that might just be it. No time remaining, and even though the EMP is big, who's gonna follow up on it? Nobody! As Fifth Dimension are forced off the point, history repeats itself, and the 3-1 scoreline will send Fourth Dimension into the grand finals, getting their spot in Contenders Trials.
Fourth Dimension proved throughout this match that they are just the superior dimension when it came to just about in every fight, when it came to every map, when every single type of comp. Fourth Dimension overall came out on top. They had a better understanding of how to work together in these comps. They had a better understanding of their win conditions. And while Fifth Dimension had some fantastic individual performances to keep them in it, Fourth Dimension in the end came out on top. More than earning their spot in Contenders and in tomorrow's grand finals.
And they get a rematch against the team that sent them down there. I'll be honest, I don't know how to pronounce it, but it is going to be quite a showing.
It's avoided.
Oh, it's avoided. Come on, avoided.
Yeah.
I'm avoiding saying your name because of that. But right now, we got to see one rematch that went the same way as it did last time. Will the next rematch go the same way? There's only one way to find out. Tune in for the EMEA Grand Finals tomorrow, because you know it's going to be a doozy. There's revenge on the line and an entire day of prep time. So make sure to tune in then.
And hey, if you can't wait until tomorrow, in just a few hours, starting about 2.5 hours from now, we'll get to see the same thing happen over again for the North American region. 8 amazing teams once again competing for the 2 Contenders Trial spots next week. I can't wait to see those games. I'll be watching. I hope you are too.
But for now, after that amazing performance with Fourth Dimension coming out on top, that is going to be it for this EMEA stream of Open Division. I have been Keel Miles.
And I have been Dividing. Thank you for having me.
Thank you all so much for watching. Have a wonderful day, and make sure to tune in later for NA Open Division.
Bye!